Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. We are jam-packed. Texas basketball, big Monday again tonight. We'll discuss it. You also can hear it live right here on 104.9 The Horn. We'll talk about their big win, comeback win over K-State and the Purple Kryptonite on the road. They got to find some way to do it again versus the Yardbirds tonight. We'll also talk about the Dallas Cowboys. They did hire a new OC. Didn't surprise no damn body at all. We'll get into that. Talk about my man Harji. He's our resident Cowboys fan. Sean Payton, we now have a number as to how much he's making, and it's a lot of straight cash, homie. Kyrie Irving to the Mavs. We'll get into that and break it down. I see my man Patrick called that one last week, too. All of that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream and the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for this man, it's a breeze. Mike Hardball Harge, ladies and gentlemen.
What it do, what it do. We are back at it again. Like you said, another big Monday, and I'm excited about that. This Texas Longhorn team never seems to amaze me. They do a little bit of everything when it comes to playing basketball. Let's talk about my man that sits across from me every single day. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babers.
I appreciate the intro as always. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, also the owner of Lou, the unofficial mascot on the show. Also the Idillionaire, one of the hardest working members of the Aryan family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid, but we do know that he's underpaid. The Patrick Davis. What's going on, Patrick?
I'm doing good. Number 5 in the country, the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, man.
Doing good.
That's fantastic. And they earned it. They earned that number 5 ranking. We'll get into it. We'll break that game down, the K-State comeback win for Texas. We'll also get into the Kansas game tonight and preview that one a little bit. So we'll start things off there. So you can always be a part of the show. You're the heartbeat of this thing. Do it on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter, Hardball Harge at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. And my man Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. All right, gentlemen. Big win for Texas. 69-66 comeback win. By the way, the Longhorns have now, is it 3 comeback wins on the season in Big 12 play?
Yeah.
Double-digit comeback wins.
Double-digit.
3 double-digit comeback wins. They got the TCU one where they were down 18 at one point. They got the Tech win. They were down 12. K-State down 14, actually, in this game at one point, but 11 at the half. And Texas comes back to win 69-66. And I think we should start with the performance of one Christian Bishop.
What other place do you want to start, baby?
I mean,
my man came out like a man possessed in the second half, man.
Wow. I mean, all of his points, all of his rebounds came in the second half. That was phenomenal. 14.6 rebounds, ended up with 2 blocks, 2 steals overall. But he was phenomenal. He really was at both ends of the floor. I think he was a difference maker, Harge, ultimately, because his presence in the second half for them, it was such a revitalizing presence down there because he really could not miss. I mean, I think he was 6 of 8, was 6 of 8 overall. So I mean, he was just their offensive, really their consistency in the second half. He was their spark, but overall, they just did a better job of outplaying K-State in that second half and finding a way to win.
Well, I think the biggest part of what Christian Bishop was able to do in the second half was he brought a bunch of energy. His energy changed the momentum for the basketball team and got everybody involved. And, you know, Patrick gave us that little nugget about them being able to break down film at halftime and showing where the mistakes were happening earlier in the year, where they were able to make the adjustments and come out in the second half. I think that's exactly what happened again. I think the entire way that they went out there and they showed a conversation of the halftime locker room coaches speak, and Rodney was telling them, Coach Terry was telling them, he was like, y'all can't play any worse, basically. You guys have come out here. You've done everything. You've turned the ball over so many times. And if you stop the turnovers, we're right back into the game. And that's exactly what happened. They started attacking the rim. They were getting some easy buckets. And Christian Bishop, the way that he was attacking and being relentless on the boards as well, I think that was the biggest motivating factor for them to turn it around. Obviously, Sir'Jabari Rice has been that guy. Every time he steps off the bench, you know you're going to get some positivity coming from him. He was just named Newcomer of the Week for the Big 12 today. And what he's been able to bring to the table, along with Christian Bishop in the game in particular, those guys brought the energy that was needed in that second half for them to close that gap and eventually win the game.
Juice is what they brought.
Yep.
Patrick, your thoughts about just the comeback win? But yeah, Christian Bishop, he was unbelievable. 5 offensive rebounds out of his six rebounds. 5 of them were offensive.
Well, and I think this is you do want to know what they said to him at half, whether it was a teammate, whether it was a coach, whether they just showed him something and he was like, "Oh yeah, I played bad in the first half."
Right.
And it wasn't so much, "Hey, I didn't fight for the scores." It was, I wasn't fighting for rebounds. There was 2 or 3 rebounds you watched in that first half. You're like, dude, that's a rebound. Like, that's yours.
Yep.
And that's 2 points the other way because you didn't get the defensive rebound or you didn't grab another possession for the Horns. And so I don't know what it was they got him on, but, man, he turned it around. And not only that, he probably had one of the biggest plays. He pokes the ball out of Noel's hands at the end of the game.
Yeah, 37 seconds left.
Yeah, so they're up by 1. That's an easy – Noel hits that shot right there. You're down 1. The whole complexion of the game
It was
changes.
like 13 seconds. You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it was real late.
So
You're right.
it was he pokes the ball out. So without everything else, if he just had that play, he's a top player of the game because that was huge. But yeah, I mean, this is again Rodney Terry has shown this year. I don't know what he says at halftime and how he's getting them ready at halftime, but he's been a really good second half coach. Now, what we've seen with Kansas State is that Jerome Tang is a really good preparer. And that's something that's been kind of the K-State mold of this year. So those teams matched up in a way that I think Rodney, even going in the game, they're like, man, they're going to come out strong on us. Just don't get down too much. I was hoping they could cut it down a little bit more in half. It was still double digits at half. But if it was like 8, I would have been like, oh, yeah, we can come back. Because K-State's not a great second half team, and Texas is. Now, you got to fix that. You can't do that every week with Texas, trying to
got 3
come back.
double-digit comeback wins. It's like the Bizarro Sark.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
like Rodney Terry's like he's the opposite of Sark.
No, we need to get Rodney Terry and Sark in a room.
Please.
Figure it out. And they go,
Please.
hey, no, this is how you prepare. And no, this is halftime adjustments.
Yeah, you're right about that. It is unbelievable.
But yeah, I mean, everyone who came out, like, just the flow of the game in the second half, watching them play, the offense just got so stacked. And you get Keontae into foul trouble in that first half, right? And you're like, all right, here we go. And they still were killing you offensively.
That's the thing, yeah.
Even he was like, he came in the second half and he was still killing them.
Yeah, I don't get how bad they played in that first half, but to see the flow in the second half, you're like, watch that game film again. Try that again. I don't know. I still think they need to do something in their pregame warm-ups different or something because they've come out cold in so many games this season.
They were 1 of 9 from three-point land in the first half.
Yeah.
1 of 9. And that's like, uh-oh.
And they were getting open. They were getting open shots.
Even Craig said that. I heard Craig today. He's right. They were getting open shots. He said they just weren't hitting over. The turnovers killed them, though.
For sure.
They had 11 turnovers in the first half. That was brutal. So, and just not having the Christian Bishop juice that you talked about, Arch. They didn't have that juice. And so even in the first matchup, he got hurt, right?
Yeah, that's where he landed on his back.
Injury.
Yeah, that's where he landed on his back.
So, you know what? I mean, obviously that was a game that was out of hand, or at least it seemed like Texas defensively didn't come to play, so it would have been a different game altogether. Period. But I'm just saying his presence there in the second half was unbelievable. I mean, he was the offensive spark. But you got to give it to Rodney Terry. You talked about, or at least my man Patrick brought up earlier this year, that the halftime adjustments are a part of it. Part of it is a video display showing guys different clips throughout the game, real time, of what they messed up on and how they can improve. They did it again. I got it from Horns 24/7. Said, but after Terry used halftime to show his players video of their turnovers and their lack of energy on cuts and on the glass, the Longhorns came out of the locker room and they were a different team. So that's it. You got to give it to the video staff there too. I mean, that's pretty.
It's
amazing.
a lot of work. They got that work going down every time.
I don't know what coach is like, hey, clip that one. That one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do they know what play? It's like, oh, I screwed up. We know what play that is. Like, it's amazing that they're able to have such synchronicity with that at halftime when it's such a quick transition and adjustment.
Yeah.
Love that about.
And I'll say, I think Jerome Tang is definitely the one you can tell now on Scott Drew's staff who knew how to pick apart Texas over and over again and get turnovers.
Yep.
Because those two K-State matchups remind me a lot of Baylor matchups we'd had in the years past where we just could not seem to get passes in the right lanes, and every lane we wanted to hit was different, like was closed off, and everybody couldn't get there. So I think that he's kind of he's very good at picking out and training guys. Hey, man, this is how they're passing rotations. So just jump here, try and get in the way here. But they were able to correct it in the second half. And that's the important part is you go, hey, man, look at every time we do this, they're jumping. So show that, go the other way.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point, too. And they did a great job defensively on Marquise Noel.
Yeah, they did.
He never got in the
frustrated,
groove.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He just never got in the
Tyrese Hunter, Sir'Jabari Rice, those
Tyrese
guys.
Hunter's defense is legit, man.
Well, what they've started to do
Yeah.
is ball denial and then playing insanely high and go like, look, if this guy just plays out of his mind, if he gets covered threes and stuff like that, but we're going to ball deny him like crazy.
Yep.
Just cover him one-on-one. Does not matter. They got to screen you 3 times. You switch on screens to make sure we still ball deny him. And it's what they did against Baylor.
Yeah, you're right.
They ball denied George.
And forced it like, hey, if you're going to hit those threes like Steph Curry, go right in. If we lose that way, we were meant to lose.
And we know as someone
Exactly.
as good as you're going to be frustrated if you get 6 points in the first half on 4 shots or whatever. You are going to be livid come the second half, and that's when you start forcing stuff, and that's when we can get advantage on you.
Yeah, I love this team. The most consistent part of this team, and I'll give props to the source, I guess I could say, that told me, Sir'Jabari Rice is a real deal. Remember I told you guys in the preseason, I said, man, I talked to somebody behind the scenes, and they was like, no, he's the guy. He's the guy. He's going to be our smooth operator
That's
in clutch
exactly
time.
what he is.
He's got the clutch gene. He's just, when the game's on the line, it doesn't affect the consistency of his play. And you could argue right now he's the most consistent of those guards that Texas had.
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's easily the most consistent.
When you look at this team, and again, they had balance in this game. They had 5 guys in double digits in this game, which is rare for Texas because we've talked about it. Marcus Carr is normally the one that gets it going. Timmy Allen comes in and he does his thing, and once he gets going, the team kind of follows. But for Tyrese Hunter, and we know he's been struggling a lot. I mean, he hadn't played to the expectations of what us as media and the fans have looked at him. But if you go back and you watch his games throughout, he's very consistent too because one thing he does do every single game is he plays his ass off on defense. Yeah. That's what it's about. And I always talk about it. If you're not giving me this, I need you to give me that, right? So, and you get to create your offense. I've talked about it. You get a couple steals, get a couple layups, get his way to go. Then his energy starts to get involved. They started being clutch in that second half, and everybody's energy picked up, whether it was Christian Bishop, whether it was Tyrese Hunter, and, of course, Sir'Jabari Rice coming off the bench. When we talk about Texas having one of the best benches in the country, it is more about Sir'Jabari and what he brings during that time because he's the 6th man. You can go ahead and pencil it in, 6th man of the year.
Gotta be.
Because I don't see anybody else that has done what he's done this year. But you also look at some of the energy that Brock Cunningham brings in. He brings that intensity when he checks into the game, and he increases the physicality once he steps on the court.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. They got a lot of guys that can provide a spark in different ways, whether it be defensively or whether it be someone offensively. And I love that you have different guys that are stepping up in different roles. Love to see Christian Bishop be the hero in this game. Unlikely too in the first half. 0.
Yeah,
0
you wouldn't have thought
points,
he would
0
have been that
rebounds. You're like,
dude.
oh man, he's definitely not going to be the hero of this game. Turns out he was the guy, and found out that a lot of that was the adjustments that they made. So at halftime. So I love what Rodney Terry's doing. His team has not lost back-to-back games this year.
What do we say about the week?
Yeah,
what do we say about this week?
And that was Patrick's big thing. He's like, I don't want to see them lose back-to-backs. They can.
Yep.
We just want them to be 500. I think we all agreed 500 was
a
good.
great
Hey,
trip.
man,
through
I
this four-game
want
stretch.
3-1 now. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
come
now
on
you're
now.
greedy.
Greedy now.
You're
Yeah,
greedy.
we're getting greedy now. That's right.
You were perfectly satisfied with 2.
Hey, but that was then. This now, I want 3-1 now.
Well, now you are leading the Big 12. So Texas, they're number 5 right now in the country in the latest AP poll. I love this matchup versus Kansas for Texas. It's crazy to feel good about a team going into a game on the road versus Kansas. But that's how, if they get a better start, if they get a bad start again, I know I have the faith they can battle back, but man, you don't want to be making that your calling card in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Especially the toughest basketball conference in the country. But what I will say, and I saw this from at KSU_fan. He's a big time K-State guy on Twitter, or maybe a gal. I don't know if it's a guy, but either way, I follow it. They do great work, and they got that. So I don't want to be a sexist here on the air. Now, I won't be a sexist. Period. Ever.
I was going to say, just on the air.
No, ever, just ever. But yeah, maybe a woman. I have no idea. But they are great on Twitter, and they're a good follow. And they pointed out something that I thought was really interesting. That if you look at the Big 12 right now, toughest basketball conference in the country, and that is pretty much a majority, if not a consensus. Texas may be the only team in the Big 12 that hasn't had a bad stretch, a tough stretch, because they bounce back really well. They're a resilient team. Even K-State now, he points out, or she points out that lost three straight and 4 out of 6 in the league. Kansas lost 3 straight and now 4 out of 5. Iowa State has had a tough stretch, lost 3 out of 6 at one point. Baylor had a tough stretch, lost 3 straight early. Just talking about in Big 12 play. Oklahoma State lost 4 out of 5 early on in the season. So just pointing out that Texas does a great job, and we know from the controversy with Chris Beard and Chris Beard being ousted, that's something else they have to bounce back from.
Yep.
And this team just really has a great character. Really great fortitude and ability. Even though you're going to struggle, that's the Big 12. I mean, it's just a really tough league. You're not going to come through unscathed, but they were able to bounce back really, really well. And even during the games, now we're seeing with the 3 double-digit wins, comeback wins for Texas in the Big 12 play. That's a character trait of this team that I think will carry them very far in the tournament, hopefully.
Well, that's what it's all about. And you got to look at the maturity of this team as well. That leads to the success also, because the way that they go about their business and they understand that they're not counting themselves out of any game. They can go in, they see that they can make adjustments, but the maturity level, fifth-year seniors and guys that have been around. And what did we say at the very beginning of the year? When you have 3 guards like that with a Tyrese Hunter, Marcus Carr, and Sir'Jabari Rice with experience that they've had, this is a mature basketball team. Then you look at what Christian Bishop and Timmy Allen has been able to do. Brock Cunningham has been in college since Jordan Shipley was here. I mean, that's how long ago. No, I'm just kidding. It ain't that much, but he's on that. He's on that track.
Feels like
you know
that.
what I'm saying?
It
It
feels
seems
like
like
he
he's going to be on there. And then you look at, we talked about it when it was coming up. They had to go on the road to number 4. Tennessee, came back home to play number 11 Baylor. Then they went on the road to play K-State, who was ranked number 6, and now they're getting ready to play the 8th ranked team in Kansas. So we knew that this week was going to be tough, and we learned a lot about this basketball team. It's not over, I mean, by no means, but we see the resilience of this team. And once again, can we give a shout out to my man, Coach Rodney Terry, taking over this situation in an adverse time and being able to rally the troops and be able to come out and play at a high level every single week and coach them up and being able to relate to them. That's the other part of it too, because a lot of these guys he recruited after he got the job to bring these guys in as transfers, but you still don't know the trust level of these guys. You are developing this stuff along the way. So I'm happy for him, and the results are starting to show up as well.
Yeah, you got to give Rodney Terry a lot of credit. It's a really tough league. I mean, it's they haven't been perfect this year, but right now be the best team in the Big 12.
Man,
that says a lot. Interestingly enough, I heard Jeff Ketchum on with Chad. I think this was last week actually, and I thought it was a point worth discussing that he made. Does it even matter what Rodney Terry does in the regular season? Could Rodney Terry win the Big 12 regular season title and win the Big 12 tournament title?
Yep.
And then only win 1 game in the tournament and still keep his job, or say doesn't win any games in the tournament, keep his job? Is that possible for him to keep that, to get the head coaching job and not have success in the tournament, whatever that definition is, but have success in the regular season? win the regular season award of the Big 12? Does that matter?
It depends on who else wants the job.
See, and that's the kind of, I guess that's the point that Jeff was making there.
Yeah. No, if certain people want the job, he's got to do a lot better to beat them out. Because if it's a top name, the donors and boosters and people that are around it are going to want that guy instead because, once again, you failed to meet expectations in the tournament, and that is going to be the narrative. It doesn't matter everything else, whether it's fair or not, that will be the narrative. And because he doesn't have a long-term contract, there's no financial reason you can't do it. And that's the normal reason that – I mean, look, Shaka probably would have fired 6 times if they could have, if there was no financial ramifications.
But Shaka was a person that was
Rick Barnes
good with the people. He
No,
was
I agree.
good with
I'm
the
just saying-
That's why they found him another job.
I'm saying if you were to say, "Hey, this guy
Facts.
is a free agent at the end of the season. We can find somebody else or keep him." A lot of times, the knee-jerk reaction would be to go find somebody else after you lose the first round of the tournament. I think if there's big names, they will. If that happens and you're going down to, hey, do we want to go him or try and pull away this other coach and pay him a bunch of money, and he's also not proven it. He's only made a run in one tournament. That's a harder one to pull away and go, yeah, let's get rid of this guy. Also, we're going to lose recruits that he kept. Like, if he keeps recruits, dude, that's a huge part of it.
That's a big part of it.
If he gets transfer portal stuff in, that's a big part of it. There's a lot to it other than just winning that. But again, I think he needs to get in that second week of the tournament, and then it makes it a kind of much more of a no-brainer.
Then it's a discussion.
Yeah.
But if you don't make it there, then it's
if you don't get, well, also you're number 5 in the country right now. If you don't make it the second week of the tournament, you got beat. You got upset. So you have to at least make it the second week to go, oh yeah, we didn't get beat by number 14 in the country, like a number 14 seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why it's a little bit more egregious. It's not like, oh, you lost one game. Like, no, you lost to we're at a 2 seed right now? We're a 2 or a 3 seed?
Yeah.
If you
So
keep
that
winning,
first
you're
weekend
gonna-
is a big loss.
Yeah, I was trying to say, if you continue to win at this level, you may play your way into a 1 seed. Think about it. The Big 12 is the hardest conference in a country. And if you're playing as the champion and you get a chance to win that, I don't see why you wouldn't be a number 1 seed at this point. I know they're just outside the top 4, but you're playing yourself into that position to be a number 1 seed. And going back to what you were saying, depending on who wants the job, I think for me personally, and I haven't talked to anybody about this, but I think it's Rodney's to lose at this point.
Okay.
I would put it at that level. I think he's done some things that were
Even
not
without
expected.
the Big 12 season being done yet?
Absolutely. I think the way that he's got this team playing for him and playing with him, going into, like we said, just the adversity that they faced and of the unknown. But again, you've got mature players. And to your point, Holland is still committed to the University of Texas, and that's a big recruit for them. So you start to see that, hey, I think people and across basketball circles are looking at Coach Rodney Terry and saying, hey, man, this dude, he understands what this job is. I mean, because he's playing with house money. Let's be honest with it. I mean, he's playing with house money at this point because everybody's already trying to get a new coach in. Like when they finally made the decision to move on from Chris Beard, the first thing, who we're going to go get? Calipari's the name. Jay Wright. Let's go start looking muscle men from Arkansas. They didn't even give my man a shot at it.
Yeah.
Now he's winning, and everybody's like, man, he's a great guy, man. I didn't realize Rodney was this good. I mean, he's earning his keep. And let's not forget, he was on the bench with Coach Barnes. He was with him for a long time, representing the university as well. Went out, found his way, went out to El Paso, started coaching, went out to Fresno State, was coaching, did a great job with all of those schools and built those programs up. But now it's like you're at the big stage, and he's not afraid of the hustle of the big stage.
I think, I'm more inclined to agree with Patrick that he puts himself in the conversation with a win in the tournament, and I think it's his job to lose if he gets 2 wins in the tournament.
Yeah.
I think it's that kind of thing. I think they'll explore possible options. I think he gets himself 2 wins in the tournament. Then I think I lean toward what you're saying. But I mean,
and it is. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it is the way of the NIL world, where if you have a couple of big donors who say, "Hey, man, this guy's name out there, and if we don't call and if we don't have that interview, guess what? I ain't paying any of our players anymore.
Yeah.
And if I take out this amount of money, go replace that money and pay them players because now you got multiple people transferred.
Yeah.
And so there is a different leverage in the NIL game now that makes it to where donors have a stronger voice. I think Rodney's won over a lot of people this season.
I agree. He's done a great job.
But you still hear those rumblings.
Oh,
and
yeah.
as long as I still hear them rumblings,
Yeah.
I know there's at least a few people out there who are dead set on, hey, we want somebody that we feel can win us a national championship. Until Rodney Terry gets closer to that than Chris Beard did, and closer than Shaka did, and closer than Rick Barnes did, then they're going to say, we still haven't found the guy.
I think you're right. I think they want him. They want to see, and it's unfair to Rodney Terry because he's doing a hell of a job being kind of thrust in this position. But like I said, I think they see it in the tournament on that stage. That'll be more convincing to the boosters and the donors, to the administration, to those behind the.
And we're just getting into the second half of the Big 12 season.
Yeah.
The second half of the Big 12 season is going to open a lot. Like, I think K-State you're going to see slide down a little bit more. You're going to see some other teams, Baylor. Tech will probably not be up there, but they'll play a better second half. We'll see it even out a little bit more, and some of the teams will play better down the stretch. If you're able to put together a full, like, hey, this whole Big 12 schedule is mine, and we did it better than anyone of holding ground, that's a big statement, but we're only halfway through it right now. So you still have to finish strong to be able to have that argument. And there's a lot of people that won't believe it until they see it.
Exactly.
So we can be optimistic, but a lot of people are not going to be.
He's got the pieces. He's got all the pieces.
He
And
definitely has
as
the
Hodge
pieces.
mentioned, they're really deep. The bench, they got the best bench scoring, or at least the highest bench scoring in the Big 12. So they got the 3 guards you need. Those 3 guards are playing at a high level at the right time. We know that's always a great formula to go make a run in the tournament. It's all there. And I see the Specs text line getting lit up here. So we'll come back. We'll take some of the texts on the Specs text line. We read a few of those and respond to them. Also, we got to jump to the Dallas Cowboys here. They hired a new OC.
Do we have to?
Yes. You should be optimistic about your new OC, Harge. Okay, I'm going to be pumping sunshine and rainbows for the Cowboys because I feel like you guys think this is a lukewarm hire.
Yep.
That it's not a splash. There's no sizzle to it. It ain't sexy enough. So I'll try to sell you guys on Brian Schottenheimer.
Come on.
It ain't an easy sell.
It is not.
But I
It
will
is
do
not.
my best. We'll do that. We'll come back right here on Baldo Loud. What if we're on the horn? Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. This weekend, I got a chance to enjoy my favorite tequila, Hot Cat Tequila. Took a couple of shots of Hot Cat Tequila and put me right on the level I needed to be on so I could enjoy the weekend and all the festivities. The CAT stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and the recipe is just as simple. It's just cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. So light, so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream. And if you're not a fan of tequila, Hot Cat Tequila will make you a fan of tequila. It turns any event into a party. Every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you won't go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you ordered rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. So turn up your party and turn up all those festivities with Hot Cat Tequila. No football watch party is complete without Hot Cat Tequila. So for the big game coming up this weekend, make sure your fridge is stocked with Hot Cat Tequila for all of your big game watch parties. It's the perfect way to pregame for the big game, concerts, festivals, or a night on the town with family and friends. Hot Cat Tequila is best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit cattequila.com. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. That's toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie. Usually, this was meant to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans whose team may have had a down weekend or a bad weekend, suffered an L. But for Cowboys fans, I guess we're going to talk about the hiring of Brian Schottenheimer, which some of you Cowboys fans deem as a bad thing. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Maybe not the best thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. A couple of the texts on the Specs text line about the Texas basketball conversation. Texas says, bottom line, Coach Rodney Terry has positioned himself for a good quality D1 program job no matter what happens. Yeah, I agree with that.
Very much
Rodney
so.
Terry, no matter what happens, I think he's going to land on his feet. A lot of people hoping that it's here on the 40 acres, though, because if he does get the job, it's going to be because Texas had a really successful season. Someone says, unfortunately, for Coach Terry, a deal may already be done, at least speaking for another coach. Yeah, I mean, behind the scenes, both boosters and donors often can try to do what they want to do. Doesn't mean the administration has decided to do anything. Someone says, Terry doing a great job, but with Beard recruits, if permanent, can he recruit the players like a big-time coach? That's what Patrick was getting to about the NIL in this current landscape that we are in, right now. I think that you're looking at NIL being a huge part of college basketball, college football, and the big-time revenue-producing sports. Right. And Texas should be in that conversation with any institution for NIL. But, yeah, do they want to play under Rodney Terry, and what is Coach Rodney Terry's system? I don't necessarily know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other part of it, too. I mean, I understand that these are Chris Beard's recruits, but those guys help recruit those guys to get here.
Very true.
They've been a part of these kids' lives as well. And most of the time, yes, Chris Beard probably was the closer on the deal, but those guys had to get them to the table. They had to go out and evaluate the talent and say, hey, this guy is going to fit the system in which you're going to run. This guy is such and such. You know what I'm saying? They're part of the recruitment of the kids. We always talk about how Banks for football. He was a big-time closer on the recruiting. Bo Davis. Well, those guys had to build those relationships with these players for them to feel comfortable even there. You want to make sure of that. So I'm looking at Coach Terry as somebody who possibly can close these deals with these players. But it goes back to what you said. A lot of these people are looking for the big name, and is he able to take you to a championship? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if he made it to the Elite Eight and the Final Four? I mean, not only for the program, for him as well, regardless if it's his players or not his players. Mm-hmm. You have to establish some form of relationship with these kids. Yeah. You have to be able to – they have to believe in what you're telling them to go out there and perform. But, again, a lot of it has to do with the maturity of this team as well.
Police chief says Rodney deserves to get the job. They make it at least to the Elite Eight. Kind of getting what Patrick said. As long as they make a run, I think it might be his job to lose. Pinche says, I think Bishop's crazy hair distracts the shooter. I'm sure the defender is what he meant to say. Yeah, I mean, I would say college basketball is the craziest hairstyles I've ever seen in the history of college basketball.
Look like Jay-Z.
Yeah, there are no conservative hairstyles in college basketball anymore. Everybody, white, black. Doesn't matter what you are, what ethnicity, you got a wild hairstyle.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's right? I mean, you see this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of this, especially the bigger name people that want to get more NIL. They want to be distinguishable.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, you want to be more of a, now that you can sell your image and likeness.
Okay, you're right. It's a good point because Bijan has some wild. How about this? I've seen more Bijan hairstyles now. I think Bijan has affected people's their different hairstyles because I've seen 3 or 4 Bijan hairstyles in Austin. I've never seen a Bijan Robinson hairstyle before on Bijan. Have you ever seen a Bijan Robinson hairstyle before Bijan?
I've seen similar, but not the same.
Not the same. It's very unique.
That's the Predator.
It's very. I don't know what it is.
It's the Predator.
It looks good on him. Yeah. But it's very distinguished on him. Yeah. And now I've seen a couple of brothers trying to pull it off, and I'm like, man, you got to realize you ain't Bijan, bro.
No, I did.
I know you want to be Bijan. We all want to be Bijan, but you ain't got the Bijan mojo.
I saw a guy at the store, and I was trying to see if it was similar, and then I realized how creepy I was, just staring at a guy walking through the store. Like, is that the Bijan? I can't.
I'm telling you.
Now I'm a creep.
No, exactly. You might have been the same guy. I'm telling you. I've seen 3 different brothers with the Bijan.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on. I've never seen that hairstyle before Bijan. Even my wife was like, Bijan's got a very unique hairstyle. I was like, yeah, I've never seen it. I don't know who he goes to get that hairstyle.
Well, you know they got a barber in there, Trey.
I know they got a barber in there. Maybe he is.
Maybe Trey's the one that does it for him.
Someone says it's a balding dude. I enjoyed while you got it. Okay, yeah, you're right. You should do crazy hairstyles and stuff when you got the hair. My man Harge.
Yeah, I'm not talking. I'm not talking trash about anybody. I had the Bobby Brown back in the day. I was rocking it. You know what I'm
Bobby
saying?
Brown's birthday today, I think.
Oh,
I heard that Chad Hastings say that today.
It's my prerogative. You know what I'm saying?
All right, let's talk about the Cowboys and their new offensive coordinator. Over the weekend, they made a hire. They hired Brian Schottenheimer. Remember I told you guys when we were describing the offensive line coach hire that Solari, that he had worked with Brian Schottenheimer in Seattle for 3 years in 2018 and 2020, and that could be a possible hint or clue as to who they're hiring at their OC because they really like Brian Schottenheimer and they won't synchronicity within that coaching staff. Well, they got it, and Brian Schottenheimer is the guy. He spent last season as a consultant with the Cowboys. Most recently, he was the pass game coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But, I mean, we'll get into this probably in Rod's Round today if we don't have time to break it down more. But he's not calling plays. He's just, he's someone, part of the think tank, if you will, on offense to help Mike McCarthy come up with the best game plan. But Mike McCarthy will be calling the actual plays. He's going to help him with play design, coordination, of course. I'm sure help him infuse different concepts in the offense, and of course, trying to maximize Dak Prescott and get the best out of Dak.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at this, and the only reason why it's okay, the only reason why I say it would be okay is because we do realize he's not calling the plays.
He's not calling the plays.
So, okay, you're bringing in somebody that was a consultant on your staff that now you're just going to put in that position. Hey, I need you to look at this. I need you to check out this. We're going to run this. Okay, I can see that. But other than that, there's no way that this was a guy that we knew was going to be a big part of the success that the Cowboys are going to have. I need to figure out, is he going to be the quarterback's coach too? Because that's the other part of this too.
That's a great point. They have not hired a quarterback's coach officially, but you're right. I mean, sometimes they do give those dual titles, and they could decide that. I would caution against that. I would like to get Dak, someone who Dak
totally
is really
different.
comfortable with. Going back to our Brian Johnson discussion where we had, and you and I both, I think Patrick also on that bandwagon, that we thought the quarterback coach for the Eagles would have been a great offensive coordinator for the Cowboys. Not calling plays, but he has worked with Dak Prescott before at Mississippi State. And everywhere he's gone, there's been success. But getting back to Brian Schottenheimer, it's not a flashy hire and it's not a splash hire.
It's a comfortable hire.
It is. That's a great point. It's a comfort hire for them. And remember, the Cowboys love in-house, right? So this is a guy that was in-house already. And whether you're talking about Jason Garrett, or you're talking about Kellen Moore, or you're talking about, now Brian Schottenheimer, they like to go in-house. The call is coming from inside the house.
Exactly. That's where it is.
It's always coming from inside the house.
How are they getting in there?
The call is coming.
Sound like a scary movie.
And it's a great point. And it's a scary movie because this could go very badly.
It can.
It could end up being a success for the Cowboys. I'm going to trust that Mike McCarthy is just putting together a coaching staff. We talked about the offensive line coach Solari and Brian Schottenheimer working together with the Seattle Seahawks. I'm just going to assume he's putting together staff that works well together. Right?
Okay.
That it's not the best guys, but it's the right guys.
But see, that's the problem. That's the problem. You need to have a shakeup. You need an outsider in the building. You need somebody to show your warts, to tell you where their dysfunction is. We can't keep doing the same thing. We keep talking about the definition of insanity. I understand. Cowboys went 12-5. They won 12 games back-to-back. I get that. But we had the same failures in the playoffs that we've seen for multiple times that you've been in there. We need somebody that's coming in from the outside that's not already brainwashed by the organization.
How about brainwashed? How about programmed?
No, it'd be brainwashed. Yeah, programmed or brainwashed. It's the same.
But Harge, we know this is Mike McCarthy's team for one more year. He has one more year. And so if you bring another OC that's a nice, like, up-and-coming name, that guy may not be there in 1 year either.
Right.
So this is a hire that is very much of, Mike, you get to pick your staff. You get to have your guy. You're running your team. But, man, if you don't win this year, you and all your boys can walk.
That's
it's not just win. They got to get past the division.
No, exactly what I'm saying. You got to win in the playoffs.
Yeah, because they've been winning 12 games and hitting the divisional
you got to win in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, part of it, too, is, hey, let's go safe here. Let's do this because it's what Mike McCarthy wants. And we're believing him that Kellen Moore and him butted heads. They didn't necessarily agree on what they were doing. Mike McCarthy thinks he knows how to fix it. Let's see if he can fix it.
Yep.
And then if he can't, then we know we can get rid of everything and start over offensively at least.
Yeah, it's not totally the same thing over and over again because I agree with you, Harsh, for the most part, because you are having Mike McCarthy, his offense. So it's a new offense. It's not Kellen Moore's offense. It's a new offense and a new play caller. And I'm with you. I want to see who the quarterback coach is going to be for Dak Prescott. That's going to be important because Dak Prescott, he slips a little when it comes to his fundamentals and his technique as a quarterback. I think we know some of that fails, and that's partly why he threw so many interceptions this year as well. So it'd be nice to get him a quarterback, a quarterback nurturer, guru, confidant, whatever, someone that he trusts and someone that can help really kind of ease the transition or the loss of Kellen Moore. Don't forget, Kellen Moore and Dak were really, really close, probably too close.
Yep.
That was the reason they decided to make a change. So I think it'll be good for Dak, but you can't go cold turkey. You got to give him somebody in there that he trusts, and maybe that is Brian Schottenheimer. Maybe him and Schottenheimer are close because Schottenheimer was a consultant there. But Mike McCarthy is going to be a lot harder on Dak as a head coach. Now,
he better be.
That's the whole point. I think that's the whole point of this,
Yep.
is that he's going to be hard on him. So, you might need someone else there to kind of be able to mediate between the head coach and between Dak and advocate for Dak at the table for a lot of things. So,
they need the Texas film crew to go in there and slice up some film for Dak, so they do it just like for Rodney Terry. I need him to go in there and slice it up for Dak so they can show where the mistakes were and how quick he was making the wrong decisions on these pass plays. But again, with the changes that are going to be happening with this Cowboy football team, this goes back to what you were saying about Rodney Terry getting deep into the NCAA playoffs. I know we got a ways to go with that, but it's the same thing for the Cowboys. It's not good to just get there anymore. The windows of opportunity that's that little creek, that little smidget that you have left to look out the window, get a little fresh air in there. It's almost closed now. And if they don't make a move now, there's going to be so many changes for the Cowboys once again. And the comfortability of being with a staff sometimes is not the right way to go. You have to go out and get some different voices. We don't need everybody coming in with agreement, right? You're right. You don't need to. No, that's not right. There's some things that need to change, but I hope that you are correct with the Mike McCarthy part of this because, to Patrick's point, your job is on the line as well. So you better be hard and you better get that business taken care of because the Cowboys, the fans are pretty much ready to jump off. They're tired of it too.
No, I agree. The Cowboys can't seem to break through the divisional round, and right now they don't have a solution. Don't seem like they have a plan.
No.
To be able to do it either. I think Mike McCarthy, this is the last ditch effort for Jerry Jones and the Cowboys to try to maximize Dak Prescott with this new coach. And if this doesn't work, I don't know if they're going to they say they're going to reinvest in Dak. If that's the case, then you got to find a coach and find an offensive system that can bring out the best in Dak. And right now, I don't know if the Mike McCarthy system is that. None of us do.
Where's Dan Mullen at? What is Dan Mullen doing?
I think he's doing broadcast work or something.
Get him. Bring him in as the quarterback coach.
You can bring him in as a consultant.
Yeah.
Bring him in as a consultant.
Do that. That's what I would like to see.
Brian Johnson probably would have been the way to go.
I'm still down with Brian Johnson. If you're not gonna go out and get somebody like a Dan Mullen or a Joe Brady, you definitely need to go get Brian Johnson.
Yeah, but it'd be hard. Obviously, you would have to give him an upgrade in status because he's the quarterback coach with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to make him an assistant head coach or make him a pass game coordinator or something like that.
Yeah.
You can still go get him though. I mean, you still possibly could. I think that I think he would help you maximize Dak's skill set or weaponize Dak's skill set better than any of these other guys who are possible candidates for the OC job. But maybe
doubt.
the Cowboys aren't done. They're still building the coaching staff. Remember, they got rid of like 6 to 7 offensive coaches. So all they got right now is an OC and an offensive line coach. So they still got a lot of hiring to do. All right, we come back. We'll get into the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a magnificent city, thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local 482. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935, and you see the labors of their love all over this great city with iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. As the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local Union 482. The Ironworkers Local 482 don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. I had a friend of mine ask me if I knew of someone hiring here in Austin, and I said, actually, Ironworkers Local Union 482, hiring about 3,000 people. That's right, 3,000 people right now for a huge project. You become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of this great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self today by applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is Smooth Soul Monday. Hey, that song still bangs. It does.
Oh,
And
yeah.
What year is that? What are we talking about?
62?
I was going to say
Still
65.
bangs.
I was thinking
Okay.
65.
Still bangs though. I mean,
Yeah.
it still does
So
the
smooth.
trick. Yeah,
Yeah.
as I said, you can still put that on romantic occasion, and it works.
There it is.
Your lady will not complain, or your man. I don't know. Whatever
hey
you're
now.
doing. Whatever you're doing. It's all
Whatever
good.
your flavor.
Whatever your hey, Valentine's Day coming up. Don't
Yeah.
forget, gentlemen. All right.
Don't forget.
Don't forget. You know what? Because this is the thing. Because I know there are people in relationships, significant others, who say Valentine's Day not a big deal. Don't do anything. That kind of stuff. Don't fall for that. We all know that's it's a drop.
It's a trap.
It's a drop. Don't fall for it. Do something.
Hey,
Something.
And the more you get done for the Super Bowl, the more you get for the Super Bowl, remember, it's 2 days later.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, so don't be like, oh, man, Super Bowl, and you had the Super Bowl hangover and forget that, oh, yeah, Tuesday is Valentine's Day.
And she's like,
what?
I have another beer. No, stay. You know what? I'll drive. I'll be designated driver. I'll drive. You have more beers. Hang out with your friend. I'm good.
Don't fall for it.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tuesday.
Make some plans, whatever. I don't know, whatever y'all are into, it's all good. But I don't know. Just make sure we gonna keep reminding you.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna let you fall for the okie doke. I haven't even actually made the plans, but me reminding you helps remind me.
Well, yep. For sure.
So I'm gonna be reminding y'all every day so that I know
So,
that I don't screw it
I
up.
done already put an alarm on my phone.
Exactly.
And correct date, 1957. That's right.
1957.
1957.
Dang.
And
I'm
it
way
still
off.
back. It still goes hard.
1957.
Still bangs.
Yeah.
No pun intended there. Okay. Go to awkward transition. Go to flxatx.com, flxatx on all of your social media platforms. We are happy that Wednesday nights our FLX ATX program is coming back. So Wednesday nights flex coming back from 7 to 8. That'll be on 104.9 The Horn. So you want to make sure that you put that into your schedule. Also, the basketball power rankings are up there for your Central Texas men's basketball teams from 4A, 5A, and 6A. So you can go check out that ranking up there. And you, Harge, went to some basketball games.
I did. I did. Got a chance to go watch some basketball this past Saturday as the Hendrickson Hawks hosted the Pflugerville Panthers. Big rivalry game.
Nice.
The Hawks ended up winning that game, but it was a hard-fought effort. That district is a tough district to play in. Next Friday, I believe, this Friday, not next Friday, this Friday coming up, I believe Hendrickson takes on Connolly, which Connolly is undefeated in the district and one of the best teams that is out there. We also talk about Stony Point a lot. Stony Point is the top-ranked team in this area, and a lot of people believe that they're going to be the best chance for a local team to play for a championship.
Connolly in the basketball power rankings at flxatx.com. They are number 2 in the 5A rankings at 21-8. Last game, 86-45 win over Elgin. Rouse, number 1 in the 5A rankings there. They got Hendrickson, number 3, and Eastview, number 4. But you're right, Stony Point considered the best team in 6A.
Yep.
Their last win was over Round Rock, 45-43 though.
Yeah, that was a tough
In
game.
overtime.
In overtime, yep.
Yeah, man, that was a clutch one right there. And then you have San Marcos, number 2, Buda Johnson, 3, Westlake, 4, and Lake Travis, 5 in the 6A rankings. Go check that out at flxatx.com. Also, shout out to my man Anthony Williams. Hopefully everything went great with his football showcase over the weekend. Always giving young people in Central Texas, well, around the country, actually, a way to showcase their talent, get some eyeballs on them, get their schooling paid for.
Yep.
That's what really the mission's about.
That's what the mission should be.
That's what the mission's
You know what
about.
I'm saying? Get your education for free.
And keeping the dream alive.
Yep,
I
exactly.
mean, you want
You're
to play
still
at the next
playing
level.
football.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
want to play. The point is you want to play at the next level. You want to keep playing ball. And my man Anthony Williams does a great job of keeping dreams alive for all these young people out here. So we appreciate him. We're working with Flex, and we're going to continue that great relationship.
And shout out to Georgetown basketball. You are correct. Georgetown did get Hendrickson on Friday night. It was a low scoring game, but a hard fought basketball game. So yes, you are correct, and I got it.
Georgetown, number 5 in the 5A rankings. Go at flxatx.com. Texture says, hey, I needed that reminder about Valentine's Day. Another texture says, Valentine's Day is a scam.
Yep.
Scam. Yeah.
It's all for the money makers. That's what it's about.
Someone says, or find yourself a woman who doesn't buy into the BS Valentine's Day holiday. You're lucky if your woman doesn't buy. My woman says she doesn't buy into it either, but
you're not falling. You're not falling for banana in the tailpipe.
I think it's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yep.
We ain't gonna fall for that. Nah, we're gonna get us something. It ain't gotta be nothing extravagant. We're gonna get us something. A little something. All right, we'll come back. We'll get you a little something. We're talking about Kyrie Irving traded to the Mavs. Oh, Patrick said it would happen. Hart said Hart predicted it would be a disaster. Both might end up being right. We'll come back and talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. What if we're not the Horn?
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about The League. It is a chef-inspired comfort food. They have 4 locations in Avery Ranch, Bee Cave, Belterra, and Lakeway. It is Austin-owned and operated. You can go in, you can dine in, you can pick up. They have lunch and dinner. This month, they have the fresh burger of the month, which is going to be a shrimp po' boy. That sounds exciting to me. This is like a trip to the Big Easy. You can go. You can also have a Creole salad, Creole Cobb salad, stuffed pork chop. There are so many different things that you can enjoy at the League. And also, you can go out there and watch the Super Bowl. Make sure you reach out to them today, and you can find out exactly where you can make your reservations so you can enjoy the Super Bowl. If you don't want to cook at home, what better way to enjoy it than getting with the League? The League has it all. They also have Lonnie's famous fried chicken. Get out there and try it out for yourself. That's the League. And you can find them in Avery Ranch, Bee Cave, Belterra, and Lakeway.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Smooth Soul Monday right here on Ball Don't Lie. And, you know, it's soothe the tortured soul of sports fans who may be dealing with, you know, their team taking an L over the weekend or just being a Cowboys fan in general or a Texans fan in general. Not the case today because a lot of Mavs fans out there, big part of our listenership are Mavs fans, and they are celebrating. Well, I think they're celebrating. Big trade over the weekend, and give my man Patrick some credit because he saw it coming. He brought this up on Friday, I believe, when we first discussed it. Kyrie Irving requesting a trade as opposed to demanding a trade, and he requested a trade, and my man Patrick said, hey, the Mavs should be interested and will be interested. Well, they certainly were. They decided to pull the trigger on that trade. They sent Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie, along with a 2029 first-round pick, 2 second-round picks to the Nets in exchange for Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris. Man, we all know the background of Kyrie Irving. I mean, he's an amazing talent, but can be temperamental, petulant, erratic, distracting, emotionally fragile, mentally fragile. There's a lot of toxicity that comes along with that extraordinary talent. But it is just that. It's an extraordinary talent. We know that. That is not a question at all. But the question is, will this experiment work? They've traded with him. Now they need to try to convince him to stay there and sign an extension. And I don't even know if they really want to offer the max, but I believe he wants the max. Remember, he requested the trade initially with the Nets because he wanted a 4-year max deal with the Nets. And based on the Chris Haynes report, Bleacher Report, the Nets reportedly offered an extension to Irving. However, it included unprecedented guarantee stipulations tied to the team winning an NBA title. This appeared to offend Irving and his camp, thus resulting in the trade request. All right, gentlemen. I'll give the floor to Patrick first because you made the prediction, brother. You thought it would happen because Harris thinks it's going to be a disaster. I believe that was his retort.
Yeah.
He said it's going to be a disaster. So you guys could end up both still being right here.
Yeah.
But Patrick, your thoughts, man. You're the NBA guy here. You saw this coming.
Yeah, I mean, the Mavs were the only team that really had a package. Dorian Finney-Smith is a guy that Kevin Durant's been on the record that he likes. So that was somebody, and he's just a really good 3-and-D guy who can do a little bit more. So a guy that pretty much any star in the NBA would want to play with, and no one had anybody comparable to that. You also throw in a Spencer Dinwiddie, who could start on a lot of NBA teams. He's actually had a pretty quietly good season for the Mavs this season.
And a former Net. He's a former Net as well.
That's
so you were able to get a couple guys there. It made more sense. The Lakers don't have anybody the Nets want. So their Lakers are out because they can give you 2-3 picks, but if you do that, you got to trade Durant too.
And reportedly, they offered 2 first-rounders, reportedly.
Yeah, and you could give up as many picks you want, but if there's no players back, then Durant's like, cool, I'm out too, you're rebuilding. And I don't think they want to do that right now.
Right.
And then the Clippers got into it, but I don't think the Clippers really had anybody either that was going to make it as good as Dorian Finney-Smith. So that's the reason why the Mavs were in there. The Mavs have to do something. You have to continually show your star player that you are trying. And I think that they've kind of struck out a lot of times going for big moves, whether it's free agents or trades. So this is one where you go, hey, man, we're buying really low. Yep. Like the old saying Bill Simmons used to say, it was 4 quarters don't make $1 in the NBA. So if you trade 4 role players for a star, you're not getting return with the 4 role players. That's just that's how the NBA works. You didn't even give up that. You gave up 2 for $1. Because Kyrie, as a player, is a phenomenal talent.
Oh, no doubt.
Now, how many games is he going to play, everything else? The positive for the Mavs is he's not going to sign an extension this year. He doesn't really want an extension this year. He wants to be re-signed in the offseason or signed in the offseason. Yeah. Because of the rules of the CBA and everything, they could only offer him a 2-year, $80 million deal if they re-sign him and do an extension right now. And he wants $200. Mm-hmm. So that is a big difference between those two. Oh, yeah. So Cuban can make the deal. Mark Cuban and the Mavs can make this deal and not have to worry about, hey, man, he is like before he suits up for us, he wants money. They can say, hey, let's do him. It's a risk, but we're basically giving up Dorian Finney-Smith and what we feel will be a later draft pick in the first round, and it's down the road, to bring in a guy who could really raise our level because, as much as people got mad at us last year for letting guys go, this is the best second talent we've had in Dallas I mean, probably
very long
ever. I mean,
time.
since Jason Kidd, since Steve Nash.
It's been a really long time.
Like,
You're
to
talking
have
about
that too.
20-something years, yeah.
I get it. It's surprised me that it happened as fast as it did. I was very surprised that it happened that fast. But I think there's probably pressure from all these other teams too. To like, man, if this is going to happen, like you all can't wait till Wednesday because no other trades are happening until this trade happens.
Yeah.
And now the doors may be open for to see some other stuff happening. Another note: this may not be a done deal yet. They haven't sent the paperwork through yet.
Oh no.
No, because they're trying to add another team. So there's thoughts of
okay.
maybe like the Mavs don't necessarily want Morris or something like that, or maybe you package Morris and Dinwiddie to another team, and then the Nets and Mavs get somebody else.
Okay.
You just shake up some things, maybe throw another contract in there to drop somebody off. Those are the types of things that are still being talked about.
Okay.
So it would not be surprising to see it not go through till late today, maybe tomorrow. It could even go till Wednesday. While they're trying to, in this trade deadline fury, go, hey, man, maybe if we can sweeten the pot for ourselves a little bit, get another pick in there,
Add some value.
drop a salary of somebody. So that might happen still.
Yeah. That's a good point. All
Yeah,
right, Harsh.
for me, I'm looking at this almost the same way, but here's the deal. Kyrie Irving, his basketball talent is undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
If he is the guy that wants to go out there and play every single night, they can make this run. But we've seen him not want to play every single night. We've seen him pick his moments and try to decide, I'll play this game, I won't play that game. Oh, I won't be engaged in this game. I'll be out there because I got to, but I'm not really involved as much. If he can go out there and decide, hey, I want to put this team on my back, this is where I say it's going to be a problem because Luka is that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant is, he was more of the silent superstar. I mean, and I say that modestly because Kevin does go out there every once in a while and says certain things and he gets at people. But overall, he's not trying to bring – all he wants – what does he always say? All I want to do is hoop.
Mm-hmm.
All I want to do is hoop. I want to be about the basketball. And if he can go out there and understand his role with Luka, because that's the other part. What is Luka going to do with it? Because everybody keeps talking about he needs another superstar with him. He needs another superstar.
He does.
But a superstar that dominates the basketball is not what Luka looks at because Luka's the one that dominates the basketball. He's the one that everything played through. My biggest point for me was I thought they needed to go get him another big man because I still don't understand what Dwight Powell's job is on that squad. I'm still trying to figure that out. Powell is the dude that I'm always like, how is he still on this team?
Man, you do not like. You know, you just changed it to a Dwight Powell
Because I was
oh my gosh, you do not like that dude.
I
man.
do not like him for some reason because I always thought his biggest asset was going to be getting him a big man. Getting him a big man
I think the problem
They got
is
Christian Wood, who's a
Yeah, and I think the big problem with the big man is the talent of big men who can play defense that are available are also ball-heavy guys that want you to throw, like a DeAndre Ayton. Wants you to throw it to him in the post, and then he'll back you down, and that's not going to play with Luka either because Luka doesn't want to play inside out like that.
Yep.
So I think that's where the problems lie there. I will say, look at what they did with Jalen Brunson last year. And now, if Kyrie, the question is, can he fit into that mold and fit into that point? But he's better than Jalen Brunson is as a talent.
No doubt.
And so if you go, well, we need to replace Jalen Brunson because we didn't sign that extension when we should have, and this whole problem could have been avoided if we would have just signed him before.
the extension.
And we would have signed
the
the extension and not on a free agency.
Yeah.
They know they messed that up. But this is, we talk about it with plenty of teams, not doubling down on a bad move by not going to get another point guard. They go, look, we had it when we had a point guard with Luka, where Luka didn't necessarily have to be bringing the ball up all the time. They can both now play off ball, where a lot of these guys, it's like, man, once you play off ball and learn can do that, those guys can do it. I think there is a possibility this is really fun to watch. Every team in the West has flaws.
Yep.
There isn't a team in the West that has a surefire, easy path where you go, that team, oh, yeah, they're a complete team. So this team's going to have its flaws, but if they get hot at the right time, you're talking about two of the streakiest to hottest players. I mean, how many teams have two guys that you go, oh, they could go off for 60 tonight, and it's not the best night of the year?
And
Right.
I'll say Christian Wood he's a bucket.
He's
Christian
a bucket.
Wood's a bucket too, man.
And
No,
Jason Kidd's a defensive coach, so like they'll fit.
Yeah.
Now Dorian Finney-Smith is a big piece to lose
He was a
because he
huge
is a
piece.
He's your-
great perimeter
yeah,
defender.
He's a 3-and-D guy.
And
He's
you're
going to
have to
3-and-D
figure
guy.
out how to figure that out, and that's going to be a difficult part. We all know they're not done in trying to make another trade, so they could be trying to go out and get another 3-and-D guy or somebody else to fit in. Especially once the Mavs make this move, now they have to go even further all in.
Yeah, exactly right. You can't at this point. You've crossed the Rubicon.
Yeah.
At this point, you cross the Rubicon. So because even with the Kyrie thing, if let's say you can't convince and woo Kyrie to sign, the max deal with you in the offseason, Kyrie wants to do his own thing, which could happen. He is the most perplexing personality in the NBA. Nobody can predict what Kyrie's going to do. So if he does that, then you got to go back, really go right after it and make another big move. Yep. Or you got to try to sign and trade Kyrie somehow to some other team.
But I'm saying they're going to make
the free agency.
I think they're going to try and make another move in the next 4 days.
Yeah.
I think they'll try and make another move before Thursday.
And it'll be a defensive move because you essentially got three defensive liabilities.
Yeah, so they may
now.
try and bring another center that's a more defensive rim protector. They may try and bring in another 3-and-D guy.
They definitely need defense. They definitely need
they're
defense.
now fully in the Jakob Poeltl sweepstakes for the Spurs. They're fully in. There's a lot. They're one of those teams that'll be in that talk now because you go, hey man, do we need a big man that can just play like that and he's not going to be a star. He's not going to help us on offense.
Ding, ding, ding. That's what I was saying.
So that now puts him into this.
They don't need help on offense anymore.
No, exactly. But and that's what puts him into the discussion of, all right, now we're at the point where Kyrie we're in a good place with because he doesn't want an extension. He wants to sign in free agency, which means we just have to dangle the carrot of, well, you want 4 years, $200 million, go win. Go play ball out, play a bunch of games and win. He changed the narrative enough in the last month and a half of playing on the court with KD going down and still salvaging that team that he went from in the offseason demanding a trade where people in the NBA were not willing to give up a second-round pick for Kyrie. That's how bad it was in the offseason when he demanded a trade. They're like, oh, no, stay away from us. To now getting back a decent return for him on the trade deadline because he acted right for a month and a half and showed up on the court and played.
Yeah.
If he can get that, if you can get that Kyrie out of him, expecting a max contract at the end of the year, then you got to go all in and try and win and get as far as you can this year.
It can work because if you go look at it, first of all, they needed to make this kind of move. They had to. Yeah. If you go look at the numbers with and without Luka Doncic, they had the worst offense in the NBA at points per 100 possession, 107.7. With Luka on the floor, that's the best offense in the NBA, 120.8 points per 100 possessions. So that is a drastic, precipitous drop-off. Also winless without Luka. So they were 30th in field goal percentage, 30th in net rating, 28th in offense, 30th in three-point percentage, and 30th in defense without Luka on the floor. That's terrible. As Charles Barkley would say, you got to rectify that. So they need a playmaker. They need a ball handler. And I love these stats. We did some deep diving. So Kyrie Irving leads all players in points per possession on isolation plays. 1.28, and he's actually leads the NBA on field goal percentage on isolation plays at 55.8%. When you got Luka, who is right now his usage rate is hovering around close to 39%, which is that's one of the single season records potentially, or at least it's going to be up there. You need someone to be able to shoulder that load, and Kyrie is that guy. If you look at drives to the basket, he's awesome. Drives per 36 minutes, he's only averaging 10.5. Dinwiddie was actually averaging more at 11.1, but field goal percentage, he's near 60%. Field goal percentage on drives. Dinwiddie was at 49%.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about just a drastic difference of a playmaker. So on the court, I don't think there's any doubt, in my opinion, that it's going to work because I think they understand they got three defensive liabilities now on the floor: Luka, Christian Wood, and Kyrie Irving. Now you got to build everything else with defense. The whole rest of the damn roster can be built around defense because those guys can make you the best offense in the NBA. Just those three. You can have the best offense, but you might have the worst defense in the NBA.
You're definitely going to have the worst defense in the NBA right now.
You might have it's a tale of two different teams, if you will.
Because Kyrie doesn't sell out on defense. That's the whole thing. That is why when I look at this I watch Maverick games. I pay a lot of attention to them. But they're not the best defensive team in the league. Going back to what you said about Jason Kidd, right? Jason Kidd is a defensive-minded coach, but now you just got rid of your best defender in Dorian Finney-Smith. And also Dinwiddie played a little bit. He wasn't great on defense, but at least he gave you effort on defense. So now you're going to bring in Kyrie and Luka. Luka's not that great on defense. He's not he wants to spend all his energy trying to score buckets.
Which they need.
Which is going to be part of this struggle. And that's why I thought personally they were going to end up trading for a Jakob Poeltl, somebody that can get to the rim and score buckets, but that's not his focus. That is not. And again, I'm not going to throw my man under this bus, but Dwight Powell, he is not that guy. I've been mad at this dude for years. I'm like, how does he keep starting for them? Because I want a Texas team to play well, but every time I watch them, it's like, how's this dude still in the NBA? You can't tell me. I'm like, he's still starting. He's a starter. But I'm just curious to see what the next move is going to be for the Mavericks, because I still think they're a piece away from actually having this thing figured out. And again, I want to see how they work with Kyrie Irving and Luka being on the ball, because they both love the ball in their hand.
We do know, and there's going to be a point in this season where you're going to have to rest. You're going to have to rest Luka some more. You're going to have to
play the whole season.
We know he ran out of steam last year,
Yeah.
and then he didn't even take time off, even after running out of steam. You're going to have to give him rest down the stretch, and to have a guy like Kyrie to go, hey, man, look, we can go in there and just go, Kyrie, have fun for these next 2 games while Luka is nursing whatever fake injury we gave him to let him sit down. And they're not fake injuries. They hurt, but it's, that kind of thing is going to be important down the stretch. And so to having their star that can kind of temper the games for a couple games, that's big. I mean, I get it. It's insanely risky. But for a team like the Mavs, who time and time again have swung for the fences and struck out with so many free agents and all these big trades they want to do, and it never happens, and then they get Steve Nash, and it's, oh, how great of a trade, and then they trade him off, and he wins 2 MVPs. Like, that's been the Mavs for years and years. So this is the move, and you're going to hope Kyrie's favorite player growing up?
Jason Kidd.
So you're hoping that there's something there where those two can be friends and work together, and he can get the best out of him, at least for this year. Now, this offseason, good luck. God bless you. But for the rest of this year, this trade makes sense.
No, I'm with you. And you got basically the rest of the season to essentially convince him that he wants to be a Mav.
Yep.
And he has a good relationship with Nico Harrison, the president or GM of the Mavs as well.
Gave him his Nike deal.
Yes, it's on this Nike. So
and not the one who fired him from his Nike deal.
There you go. That's also a good sign.
That is a great point.
But yeah, I mean, I just love that Kyrie is known for not just burning bridges. He basically bombs bridges. Like he doesn't just burn them, man. He just destroys them, annihilates those things. And I wonder now, it's a little unfair to him too, because remember we said about Dak Prescott, right? Dak Prescott threw a lot of interceptions this year, but nobody talks about Matt Stafford throwing a lot of, leading the NFL in interceptions last year. I did, but nobody else did. And nobody talks about Josh Allen throwing a lot of picks this year. They just started bringing it up. But they have a different reputation than Dak, so Dak's almost being punished because his reputation is that he takes care of the football and that he's high, basically low-risk, high-reward quarterback. Kyrie Irving also, nobody gets on Jimmy Butler for changing teams a lot.
Nope.
And for Jimmy Butler, he's quick to burn a bridge. You know what I mean?
Jimmy Butler walked into the Timberwolves practice, played one-on-one against everybody, beat everybody, told him he was the best player in the world, and walked out.
Exactly.
Like, that dude walked into the room and was like, I can beat everyone in this room, and y'all better trade me.
Yeah.
Like, that dude did that. But, yeah, he doesn't get that same reputation.
I know
because when he's there.
The anti-Semitic video, I get all that. I'm not trying to go there. I'm talking about basketball-related stuff.
Right.
No, and I mean, we saw with the quit statements he's had where he would never leave, nothing to Durant. He's always got Durant's back. And, man, everybody, the difference between last year and this year? No one's half in this locker room.
Yeah.
Kyrie, you were half in that locker room.
Exactly.
Yeah, he just doesn't see it. It's like he cannot see that type of stuff.
He said after they got knocked out of the playoffs last year, he's like, me and Kevin and Sean and Joe Tsai, we're going to be running this franchise together. He said all these things.
He did.
He's either just
unaware.
He's either really, really smart in playing everybody, but I don't think that's it.
No,
I think he is
that's
just completely unaware and has enough people around him that let him be that way. I mean, heck, his agent is his stepmom.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have outside voices. He is the Dallas Cowboys. No outside voices.
That's true.
Great comparison there. That's well done. Okay, I know we got Hard Knock Live coming up. Real quick, though, what does this leave KD? Does Kevin Durant now, he requested a trade earlier this year. Does that come up again? Or if you're the Nets, do you decide, can we build around Kevin Durant? Does Kevin Durant allow us to build around him? Will he stay? Does he stay there now? I mean, all the guys he brought there to win this championship, Harden, Kyrie,
Best
they're
team
not
on
going.
paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They're all gone now.
They're paper champs, man. That's what they call it. They're paper championship. Well, remember, he also wanted to be traded during the offseason as well.
That's what I'm saying.
So now things are kind of up in the air. He's coming back off of an injury. He's at the point now where he's thinking, I want to win a championship. And the whole reason why this dream team was put together is because they wanted to make a championship. They got swept last year.
Mm-hmm.
They got swept by the Celtics, and now they have put themselves in another situation where it's not trending in the right direction for remember, they wanted a coach fired, and he
Yeah, I
ended up
remember
getting
this.
fired.
Yeah, they fired. They got him
They
fired.
got him
Now,
fired.
for the record, that was the right call.
For Nash to be fired?
Yes.
And then
Jock
they
Vaughn
want
is
to-
a way better coach than
He
Steve
is.
Nash.
I love
But
Jock
they-
Vaughn.
but
I'm
they
just
wanted
saying,
to fight
Jock
Ime
Vaughn.
Udoka.
They did. We're going to have the wrong coach. I am saying, though, that was the right move. They were garbage under Steve Nash, and they're pretty good
Fair.
under Jock Vaughn. So
Fair.
I will say
And
that
they
one's
actually
right.
play defense for Jock Vaughn,
Yeah.
too.
It's a good
They
point.
actually
But I
play
agree.
defense
You also
for him.
shouldn't be demanding it. You should. A lot of this stuff should be done behind closed doors.
Exactly.
And it is not done. I mean, Kevin Durant does it behind a closed door and then tweets it out.
I was going to say,
With
he
his
does it
burner account.
with his burner phone.
But I'll tell you this is I think that he's probably already walked into Sean Mark's office and said, "All right, we got rid of him. This is what you got back. I know you're trying to make more moves. You're basically trying to figure out a way to keep me here because if you trade me, you are getting nothing back for me. Like my value is so much higher. Kevin Durant's value is so much higher.
But you're not going
than
to let
anything
him
you're gonna
walk,
make.
though.
Well, he's under contract for like 3 or 4 more years.
Yeah.
You got
Like
him.
he's
Yeah.
under contract.
Yeah.
So I think, considering the fact we have not heard the trade request already, it's Monday of the trade deadline Thursday. I don't think there's going to be a trade demand put out because that normally, like, you can't go, hey man, trade me in 3 days,
Yep.
and they go, well, how?
Yeah.
Because everyone's going to lowball us by a long shot.
Yep.
Go, hey man, do you want these 3 role players and 2 picks? It's Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So I know that the whole reports were that the Suns were going to go after it. The Suns offered, they wanted Kevin Durant. Is what the Suns wanted.
Yeah.
I think he's going to play out the rest of the season, and then in the offseason we'll go from there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of there's a lot of drama with the Nets all the time. The Nets love drama.
Yeah.
I told you the Cowboys. All right, what you got coming up on Harsh Knock Life?
Well, it's Black History Month, so I want to give you all a little bit of Black history when it comes to baseball. One of my favorite players, and I think it's something that we don't talk enough about, and I told you this a long time ago, it's a lost art in the game. So I'm going to give you a little background on my boy, and I think y'all will figure it out pretty quick.
I like that. A little Black history, a little baseball with my man Hardball. Coming up next, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about Dr. Greg Eckert and his fantastic team because they are just great. You hear people bragging about them on these very airwaves all the time. It doesn't matter what your concerns are. And before you even have any concerns, just to make sure you're keeping up with your dental hygiene and your dental health, you need to reach out to Dr. Greg Eckert and his fantastic team. They can handle any concerns about dental anxiety, which we all have a little of. They also can handle general dentistry, teeth whitening, dentures, porcelain crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy, whatever it takes to ensure you're getting the best quality dental care available. That's what Dr. Greg Eckert is all about. As a matter of fact, right now, he can offer you a brand new smile in just one day. He's always on the cutting edge of the technological advances in general dentistry, and right now, he can give you a brand new smile in just one day, permanently secured to your dental implants. No time spent without teeth. You get temporary fixtures until they can complete your permanent smile, and you'll smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. We're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced, you need to call Dr. Greg Eckert today to learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. It's a brand new smile in just one day. It sounds too good to be true. It's not. It's just Dr. Greg Eckert, Dr. U. That's right, folks. So give him a call, 512-345-3166 or 512-345-3166 or visit dreckert.com, DRUECKERT.com.
Welcome back to a Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy, Hardball Hard. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Hard. You can follow my man, Rob Babers, at Rob Babers. And you can follow my man behind the glass at It's Patrick Davis. We love it when you're a part of the show, and you continue to hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And I wanted to talk about this player that is one of my favorite players of all time. Very brash. He was not afraid to speak his mind. And a lot of times he talked about himself in the third person. I think you know who this person is, but I will continue to talk about him. He was drafted in 1976, where he played baseball, football, and basketball at high school. And he was an All-American running back coming out of high school.
Wow.
But he ended up getting drafted and decided that he wanted to take his chances and be a professional baseball player. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2009. He got 94.81% of the votes. Again, still trying to figure out how this person did not get first. I mean, he was the first ballot, but didn't get 100% of the votes. Maybe it was because of some of the things that I've talked about before, not being nice to some of the reporters, not being all up in their face and doing his own thing. But I digress on that. He was a 10-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion. He was an AL MVP in 1990. He was the ALCS MVP in 89. He was a Gold Glove winner in 1981. He was a Silver Slugger Award winner 3 times, and that's where you have the best batting average at your position than anybody else. So you get voted for that. That's what the Silver Slugger would mean. He was a 12-time AL stolen base leader, 1980 through 86, 88 through 91, and again in 1998. He got his number retired by the Oakland A's, his number 24, and he was also inducted into the Oakland A's Hall of Fame. He has a career stolen base record of 1,406 career stolen bases. He has 2,295 runs scored, and he has the major league record for stolen bases in a single season with 130 stolen bases.
That's crazy, man.
This guy that I'm talking about is the one and only Rickey Henderson.
Oh, yeah.
Rickey Henderson is the GOAT of all GOATs. He had a nickname of the Man of Steel. And the reason why I bring that up, and I've talked about this numerous times, the art of stolen bases is the lost art.
That's a good
There's
point.
not a lot of people that pattern their game after a Rickey Henderson because it's not as exciting. I thought the stolen base, the 2 most exciting plays in baseball was the stolen base and a triple. Those 2 things were the most exciting part of the game, and I prided myself on that. I wanted to steal as many bags as I possibly could because of Rickey Henderson. And the other one was I wanted to try to hit as many triples as I possibly could because that is where you really get to show that you are doing you know how to hit them corners and you know how to drive the ball gap to gap. Rickey Henderson is the guy that set the standard if you were watching baseball at a young age. In 1980, he had 100 stolen bases. In 82, he had 130. In 83, he had 108. Nobody else is even coming close to that anymore. That's part of the
crazy.
Game that is being lost.
That's wild, man.
And you think about it, you say, man, what else about his game can you talk about? Well, as I said, he was scoring runs in the leadoff position. He was hitting leadoff home runs. He was setting a record for that as well. He was one of the most electrifying players in the game that a lot of people didn't talk about. And the fact that he still holds that record is amazing to me. He stole 50%. His stolen bases was 50% higher than the previous record by Lou Brock. Lou Brock set the tone at 938 stolen bases. Ricky's got 1,400.
It's crazy.
The dude was amazing, and I think we don't give Rickey Henderson enough love. I know Ricky gonna give Ricky enough love, but I just wanted to point out that Rickey Henderson was the most exciting player in the game, and at the time of his retirement, He led Major League Baseball with runs scored. Barry Bonds ended up passing him at that point, but his numbers, you cannot deny how great he was. 2,295 runs scored, ranked him number one at the time. Stolen bases, like I said, he'll never be passed on that. He was fourth in career games played with 3,081. He was 13th in at-bats and 25th in hit. He's got over 3,000 hits. Rickey Henderson was the guy that every time you turned on the game and he was playing, you knew something exciting was going to happen. So I wanted to give a shout out to Rickey Henderson because he was that type of guy that every time you watched him play, you knew something exciting was going to happen.
That is crazy because I remember looking up to guys because Deion Sanders, obviously, big part of his game was speed, stealing bases.
Yes.
Guys like Kenny Lofton back in the day.
That was their game, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, I remember
Otis
that.
Nixon. Remember the Cardinals? That was their entire game. That everybody on the Cardinals was runners.
Yeah, because they had another guy that played. Was it Sanders that played both ways for them too? They had Deion Sanders and they had another guy.
Reggie Sanders.
Right? No,
Reggie
they had
Sanders
another
was
one.
there. And Brian Jordan was on their team too. Don't forget Brian Jordan was playing. Nobody ever really talks about Brian Jordan. Brian Jordan and Deion Sanders were on the same Atlanta
That's
Falcons
what I'm
game.
talking about then.
They played together. And then
that's what I'm talking about.
they ended up playing it in the major leagues together as well with the Braves.
That's what I'm talking about.
So
that's crazy.
Indeed, and you guys looked up to Rickey Henderson because of the way he played the game. When I was drafted by the Montreal Expos, we were considered the running Expos because everybody in our organization, from top to bottom, from the major league all the way down to rookie ball, we were all about running the bases. We were all about stealing bases. And again, it's one of those things that people don't even really pay attention to. I can't even tell you who the last guy that even came close to getting 100 stolen bases because they don't do it. Everybody wants to play for the home run. Yeah. Everybody wants to play. You get on. We want to drive it out of the park. If you steal a bag, they're going to change the way everything happens. So they didn't even want you to do that anymore.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That was phased out.
Yeah.
The game slowly but surely. And it basically Analytics
is what took it out. It goes back to the mid-range jumper. Nobody likes it because the analytics say if you go back 2 more feet, you'll get a three-pointer. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm like, no, develop it and score runs because he set the table for everybody.
That's a great point. Yeah, love me some Rickey Henderson, man.
Oh, man.
Jose Reyes had, let's see if I can find it again. 78 in 2007. That's the most in the 2000s.
Wow.
78 in a season.
Wow.
Rickey had over 100 bags 3 years.
Damn.
And 2 back-to-back.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and he has the major league record. One of those things that it will never be broken. No. You don't see it being broken
just because
the game has changed so much.
Yeah, the trend is that the guys don't. That's not a skill they cultivate anymore.
No.
You can be fast, but nobody's encouraging you to steal bases.
No,
like you
that's not who you are.
Yeah, and then you got to get good. You got to get really good at it, so you need reps at it.
Yep.
If you don't get reps at it, you're not going to be great at it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Man, who's there was a Texas baseball player that was really good at it a couple of years ago.
Tim Moss was really good at it. He was stealing bases all the time. Eric,
you know
I know you're talking about
from the East Coast guy.
Yeah, Mike Antica.
Yes, Antica was good at it. Yeah, he was pretty damn good at it.
Yeah, he was damn good at
some guys, I mean, it's something you got to cultivate. It's a skill, but some guys have a knack to that timing and that burst, that first step. That first step's got to be
all it
money.
Is. And you got to make that read too. You got to dissect that pitcher's every move because they know that you're going to try to steal that bag. So they're going to mix up certain things, but you have to get that timing and look for certain keys on the pitcher because he'll give you the answers you're looking for, but you got to make sure you're studying. That's all I ever used to do. Like I used to watch, and it was like, okay, when he moves his shoulder a certain way, I know I got him.
Yeah.
But there were some times where they moved that shoulder the other way. And they got me.
Yeah. I mean, when you say you just got to get on base first, and how many people bunt anymore?
They
ever.
Don't.
At any point. And you're like, that's the way you get a guy on first that he can steal a base. Used to be old school small ball style.
Yep.
And that's just completely out of the game now.
So
you're if you're a fast guy, you're on second more than you're on first now because They don't
Yep.
want you to try and they want you to try and hit in the gaps anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you're fast enough to steal bases, they want you to go for 2.
No
Very
doubt.
true. You're right.
No doubt.
Analytics has changed the game. That's a great Hard Knock Life. And I remember that as a youngster. I'm with you. I thought that was a sexy part of baseball.
It was, man.
That was a sexy.
I
That was a
loved
cool.
it.
That was a cool. That was why I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to be a guy that stole bases because I knew I could do it really
The
well.
cat and mouse game, man.
Yeah.
You sitting there trying to beat that catcher, you're trying to make the time to the plate. Hey, what is he? He's 1-2 to the plate. I might have to wait a second. Oh, he's 1-3. Got him. I know I got him on that.
Yeah.
If he takes too long to get that ball to the catcher, I got him on that.
That's very interesting numbers, man. That's an unfortunate trend for baseball too. And maybe at the lower levels, is that still the same case? Like even
Yeah.
at high school level,
Very
it's
much so.
still a trend.
They're
that's,
not running near as
Yeah.
much as they used to.
Yeah.
And it's an exciting part of the game. And
Mm.
it used to be, just like I was telling you before, the hit and runs were a part of the game. And you took pride in it. Coach put on a hit and run. You knew you had to swing. There wasn't no thinking to it.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're up there. They don't even give those anymore.
It's crazy.
It's like, that
Different
was part-
game, man.
I was like, man, when I was coaching, we hitting and running every time. Because you're going to be up there swinging that bat.
You damn right.
Yeah.
All right, good Hard Knock Life there. We come back. We'll talk about whether they needed to remake this iconic classic sports movie. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to another edition of Off the Record right here on Ball Don't Lie. All right, gentlemen, I need to gauge your interest in this upcoming movie, this film. It is a remake of White Men Can't Jump. Jack Harlow, yep, the rapper Jack Harlow. He is going to be starring in the film alongside, I hope I say his name right, Sinqua Walls. I hope I said his name correctly. Anyway, he's an up-and-comer. He's actually pretty good. I've seen him in some other stuff. But they're remaking White Men Can't Jump. And people are less than enthused about the trailer, which has been released. But we know the original White Men Can't Jump with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson and Rosie Perez was an iconic, I don't know if it was a smash hit at the time, but it's become kind of a cult favorite among sports movies. And I love it. It's still one of my favorite sports movies out there. One of the best basketball movies, period, out there, too. What say you, Harge, about the remake? Are you going to watch it? Are you interested? Or what's your prediction about how it's going to be?
I'm not interested.
You're not interested at all?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm just over the fact of everybody trying to remake classic movies with different people. It just doesn't make sense to me. And again, it's one of those situations where it's like, sometimes just let it be. Sometimes you got to let it be.
They got to remake it for a new generation.
Man, they're making Bad Boys 4 as well, but they're using the same people.
Yeah, that was like, that's cool because that's a series of movies. So it's cool. That's a Bad Boy series. I'm cool with that. The remake is a little different. And this is obviously, I think 1992 is when White Men Can't Jump came out, somewhere around there.
They just remade House Party as well.
Now, that was going to be terrible. This is the one where they're in LeBron's house. And then they're like basically throwing a party in LeBron's house.
And he teleports in or something like that.
Yeah, it's very strange and weird. I think it's really tough to remake classic, iconic comedies because a lot of it is, I've said it before, it's about timing. A lot of comedy is about timing. And if you watch the way a lot of iconic comedies are made, you can watch kind of the outtakes in some of these DVD special DVD series and editions, and they'll show you all the outtakes and how it was made. Man, there's a ton of improvisation.
Right.
They're just throwing out different stuff and seeing if it sticks in. There's no way you can predict or project if a movie, especially a comedy, is going to be iconic or really good. Nobody knew the 40-Year-Old Virgin was going to be iconic or super bad. You don't know.
That's true.
You just don't know.
Same thing with Hangover, too.
Exactly. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. You thought, this is going to be a smash hit. They don't know.
Yeah.
You have no idea because a lot of it is timing, improvisation, and it's really hard to replicate those again and again. And by the way, Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes, some of the best chemistry of any working duo
Rosie
in
Perez?
film. Yeah. Well, remember, they work together a lot.
Woody
and Wesley love each other.
Didn't they work on Money Train?
Yeah, they've been on
together?
like 3 or 4 movies together. They love each other. Yeah, so that's something, too. You can't do that with Jack Harlow and whoever this other guy is. Whoever this jabroni is. I'm sure he's cool, but
How's Jack Harlow the cool one in this? I have no idea. Like, Jack Harlow is a name that I hear so much for someone that I have no concept of what he actually does. I know he's a musician.
He's a rapper.
But I don't know what he does because I just don't. I'm too old.
Yep.
Too old to care anymore.
Yeah, listen. I have some Jack Harlow on my phone, a little bit of it, and he's a decent rapper. He's nothing special though. He's not special.
It's no Wesley. He's no Wesley Snipes or no.
But you can tell they're trying. There's a push to get Jack Harlow in your realm, on your timeline.
No, I get that, and that's the problem. Is they keep making these movies that are like, hey, remember these things we made with young up and coming guys who are really hungry? Let's get a guy who's in everything already and is completely oversaturated. And then we'll put him in there, and then it'll make people watch it for that. You're like, no, put together a good movie, and then cast the right people for it, as opposed to casting people and then finding a movie for them.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Like, that's what you bring up with LeBron James. You're like, we have LeBron, so this movie will be like, if your basis is people like LeBron, you're going to have a hard road to climb here, buddy.
They did that with the 80 for Brady. Like the 80s for Brady movie. They basically assumed, like, okay, all Tom Brady fans will come see this movie. It's like, no, people are not going to go see that movie.
And he's executive producer on there, I believe, too.
I believe Blake Griffin is executive producing this. The new White Men Can't Jump. Blake Griffin is a piece of this,
Wow. Even less reason to go see it. 4 movies, Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson were on together. Wildcats, White Men
Yep.
Can't Jump, Money Train, and Play It to the Bone. That's a lot of
Wildcats.
chemistry. Like,
Yeah.
those guys like working together, and they're
Yeah.
really good together. And you can't replicate that with Jack Harlow and whoever the other guy is. Sinqua.
Y'all,
Wallace.
you know what? If y'all want it, have fun watching it. I'll watch the old one again.
I watch a lot of bad movies, so I will watch it for you guys.
All right, thank you.
I watch it. I watch a lot. I do. I watch
think
a lot of
it
bad
is
movies.
gonna be on Hulu.
Rod, I don't even watch good movies.
Exactly. I watch good and bad movies, so I'll
watch
watch
nothing.
it. And yeah, I'll give you a blockbuster review of how bad it is.
Isn't it on Hulu?
I think you're right here.
Yeah, I
I'll
think
make
it
sure.
is.
I
I
think
think
you're
it
right.
is Hulu.
Even more reason to watch it because
Yeah.
well, I don't know if I have Hulu. I was using somebody else's Hulu, and then they must have stopped paying for it because now it doesn't work anymore. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's on Hulu.
Okay.
So
That's
May
what I thought.
19th.
That's what I thought.
So okay. I'll check it out. I'll find some way to check it out. I'll let you know. But it's a terrible idea. I'm with you guys.
All right.
It's gonna be
I believe the Rosie Flores character is being played by Tiana Taylor. Is what I'm.
Oh.
I believe that's who's going to be playing.
Oh.
You see Hard out of reaction. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
I believe that's
really?
who's playing.
Okay.
Is it? Didn't she used to date? What's the NBA player? Did she date an NBA player?
I think they all did, man.
Oh.
That's why she. That's why she was in this thing.
No, it was. He was playing for the Mavs for a while.
Really?
Is it Iman Shumpert?
Let me
No.
see. Oh yes.
Is
It-
it Iman
it-
Shumpert?
It is Iman Shumpert.
Right?
Yeah.
They were like serious though. They were like, I don't know if they're still together. They were like either like
No, they still together.
they still together, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're married.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
married. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, she's well put
Yep.
together.
She is definitely reason to check it out.
Yes, eye
Yeah.
candy.
So now maybe I will watch it.
There you- They
You
know,
convinced
hey, they
me.
know how to get you. They know how to get. It doesn't take much to get dudes.
Yeah.
Basketball movie with
Oh,
Tiana
that
Taylor.
movie's stupid. Not gonna who's in it?
Oh yeah,
All right.
I might need to
We'll
check this out.
We'll
Oh,
check
it's
it
on
out.
Hulu. I
She's
can
got
watch
like
it at
4
home.
scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back. We'll get into Texas basketball, their big win, comeback win over K-State, and then we'll preview their matchup coming up tonight, Big Monday versus Kansas, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. You asked for it, and MyBookie listen. They're always listening to the people. MyBookie designed a unique deposit bonus that lets you cash in and cash out quick. All right, there's no hesitation, and you can get your money exactly when you want it. No more waiting out for rollovers. You win, you cash out. That's the way it works. This is a unique deposit bonus for sports bettors who want to focus on what to bet and not a payout sweat. All right, so make your first deposit today with the promo code HORN, HORN, and wager your deposit amount once, and you're eligible to cash out. If you want a sports book that gives you the most bang for your buck, you can bet on big games with MyBookie, and you can win big with MyBookie. Pre-game, live lines, and Super Bowl props. Bet everything from the opening coin toss to the length of the national anthem to the color of the Gatorade dumped on the winning coach. MyBookie gives you the most bang for your buck and the most ways to win with their redesigned deposit bonus. Again, that's the promo code HORN, HORN, to claim a brand new deposit bonus designed for bettors looking to cash in and cash out quick. Don't settle for less. Choose MyBookie for the ultimate sports betting experience. Bet anything, bet anytime, and bet anywhere. As long as you're betting with my friends at MyBookie, you're betting with the best. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Smooth Soul Monday right here on Ball Don't Lie. Is this song an instrumental?
Yes.
It's one of the most famous instrumentals in the history of pop
is.
culture.
Yes.
Because it's
Great song.
It's in so many movies. It's I've heard it so many times.
It's a great road trip song. You're just driving.
How long is it?
It's like 3 minutes, 4 minutes,
Oh, okay.
3 minutes.
Yeah, and I figure 'cause I've never heard any words on the song, but I've heard the song.
I mean, it's popular enough that this is Green Onions. There's a song called Mo Green Onions.
Is it basically the sequel to this?
Yeah, and it's still a bit different, but there is Mo Green Onions as well.
And also an instrumental, Mo Green
Yes.
Onions. All right.
Booker T and the MGs.
Hey, Booker T and MGs did
When you
the
got a
damn
dude
thing.
named Booker T, you gonna be jamming somewhere.
You
Yeah.
can't have a name like Booker T.
Booker
And not
T.
jam, not live up to that, man. Booker T, all Booker T's, usually Booker T got they got a certain mojo about
Yes,
them.
they do.
All right, they've always have. All right, let's get to Texas. They also got some mojo. Texas men's basketball got a little mojo working, especially after a big comeback win over the K-State Wildcats and the Purple Kryptonite on the road. Can't say that enough in the Big 12. It's hard to win on the road, and they got another one on the road tonight. Big Monday, gentlemen. Tonight, Texas playing Kansas on the road, and we'll get into previewing that matchup. But first, let's give some props where props are due. Texas winning 69-66. Shout out to my man BK. He would have appreciated that. Down by 11. Down by 11 at half, but down by as much as 14 in this game. Mostly due to their just inability to make a bucket in the first half, but also turnovers. There were a lot of self-inflicted wounds in the first half for this team. 11 first half turnovers. They cleaned a lot of that up. And also I would say the hero of the second half, because it really wasn't the game. Christian Bishop, he had 14.6 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals, and you would think, oh, that's a good game, but not necessarily a great game. Well, all of it came in the second half.
Right.
The 14 points, the 6 rebounds, all came in the second half for him. He had 5 offensive rebounds. He ended up being the spark and the juice, Harsh, that this team needed to be able to build that comeback. And they corrected a lot of things, but it was mostly being able to depend on the consistency offensively and the presence down low, the physical presence of Christian Bishop, because, man, he started punking people.
Yes.
Down in the post, in the paint.
He came out in the second half and was letting everybody know, get the ball to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything I can. The energy that he was playing with, the toughness that he was playing with, the rebounds that he was getting, extending plays and extending possessions during that second half. And just remember, they opened the second half on a 14-4 run in the first 5 minutes.
That was big.
And that was huge for them. And then they took the lead, and then, they were going back and forth, and then they started to really push and put pressure on the ball against K-State. K-State, their big player, Keontae Johnson, was in foul trouble in the first part of it, and they were still winning. And that was the amazing part for K-State and what they were able to do. But then that Texas seniority, I would like to say, the maturity that they play with, coming out in the second half and making a run. And can we give Sir'Jabari Rice his flowers as well?
Yeah, we can.
He came out and did his thing, recorded a double-double for the first time at Texas, and a 5th for his career. He's done an amazing job coming off that bench, and especially knowing exactly who he is, knowing his role. At the beginning of the year, he was moving around kind of slow, and you didn't really know what his role was going to be. But once he figured out what his role was going to be, he let it all hang out, and he's been playing great ever since then.
He's the closer.
Yes.
I mean, he really, that's
is
pretty
very
what his
true.
role is.
Yep.
Down when the game is in clutch time. Once you're down the wire there, you want the ball in the hands of Sir'Jabari Rice. He's one of those guys that's some clutch threes down the stretch for you.
Yep.
Also those clutch free throws, which we've seen about three different times this season. We've seen him hit those clutch free throws. So he really does have a great clutch gene, and he just doesn't seem to lose his cool in those pressure-packed situations. So Sir'Jabari Rice, and I'll give props to a source I had behind the scenes who told me before the season, no, Sir'Jabari Rice is the guy. He's the guy. I know there are a lot of big names, a lot of splashy players, flashy players as well, but he is the guy. He's going to be the guy we want to get the ball to in clutch time. That has certainly been the case for Texas.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The pressure in which they play with, and the understanding of what winning time that we've talked about, winning clutch time, making those big plays, they have been doing that all year. I mean, you think about how many times they've been down and could have been counted out. Sometimes they were getting beat so bad that you didn't think they were going to come back.
That was their third double-digit comeback win in the Big 12.
Yeah. It's amazing, especially in this conference, the way it is. And some of them have been on the road. You would think they would be able to close out. The home team would be able to close out in those situations, but Texas finds a way. It looks like they thrive on the adversity in which they play at in the first half. I mean, just think, we talk about it all the time during Texas football. What if Texas football played a complete game on the positive side? Same thing with Texas basketball. We haven't seen them play a complete game the entire season, but the adjustments that are being made at halftime are ones that we continue to look at and say, okay, you never think Texas is out of a basketball game, no matter the numbers.
The slow start may be, honestly, one of the few things that you can kind of criticize about this team that has become, I don't know if it's a theme for this team, but it's one of those things that it's a recurring issue, that slow start for Texas. But you're right, the halftime adjustments by Rodney Terry have been amazing. Getting back to Patrick's point, even in this game, I saw this at Horns 24/7. He once again, they broke out the video, the videos of the guys in the first half at halftime so that they could watch themselves, so that they could get that visual of how they needed to make adjustments, what they needed to do. And it says here, after Coach Terry used halftime to show his players video of their turnovers, their lack of energy on cuts and on the glass, the Longhorns came out focused, knowing exactly what they needed to do. So that's become something that I love about Rodney Terry, and give the video staff a lot of credit too. I don't know how they determine within the game, real time, what actual plays they need to put on those video cuts of halftime adjustments, but they do a really good job of that. And getting back to your point about this Texas team being a great second half team, they're just a resilient group. They haven't lost back-to-back games. We just talked about the third double-digit comeback win for them. There's a lot of faith that they can bounce back from adversity and bounce back from losses too in Big 12 play. So I think that's one of the character traits of this team that's really something that's going to carry them far, potentially in the Big 12 play, but also in the tournament. That this is a resilient group, and that adversity really doesn't seem to be something that really distracts this group very often, and they seem to be building on those accomplishments throughout the season where they overcome those little battles with adversity.
That's the beautiful part about this team, and that's why you enjoy watching them play. They just go out there and they seem to find a way, because that's the one thing that we all talk about is, can teams in this league bounce back? And this is the toughest league. And what we've seen from Texas every single week is they find a way to bounce back. Marcus Carr hadn't been playing the best basketball right now, and Texas is still winning. Yeah, they're finding ways to piece it together. Patrick talked about Timmy Allen and his ways of going about the basketball game, and is he involved? I saw it last week. He was catching the ball and being active. Well, this last game, he couldn't do that. They tried to minimize his efforts to try to make other people make plays. And if Marcus isn't going early, it's something that we really need to pay attention to. Well, even Tyrese Hunter, he hadn't been playing his best basketball either, but what he has been doing is playing good defense and is creating turnovers. If you force the other team to waste possessions, that gives you an opportunity on the other side to get back in there. So it's been a big rush to watch these guys. But we still got to figure out what's going on with Dylan Dessou. This week, tonight, when they play Kansas, Kansas doesn't have a true five. They don't have a big man that they used to have in the middle. KJ Adams is the one that has been playing the five position, so it'll be a good challenge for them. But we need to figure out what's happening to Dylan Dessou as well.
Yeah, and I mean, the Big 12 is kind of this league that is very much of adapt and survive. And there is something that there are some of the teams we're seeing struggling are teams that are not adapting. They're trying to play their style very rigidly, and it's taking a while. Baylor, I think, did that at the beginning of the season. They were like, hey, this is what we're doing, and we'll beat everybody doing it. They go, no, man, you're playing too many good teams to only play your style. You're going to have to adjust some to fit to play. If you're playing against a star point guard, you can't guard them. The exact same team defense is when you're playing against a star big man.
Yep.
Texas has done a really good job of that. And now in the second half, we're starting to see Rodney Terry figure out his rotation a little bit better.
Yep.
And that's where you go to adapt, survive, and then thrive. And that is the third part where you need to get to, hey, man, now we know our rotation. That, when they talked about the Warriors, they used to have that death lineup.
Mm-hmm.
You go, we're not going to have the death lineup, but if we can have that lineup at the end of games where if it's Christian Bishop that's in it, whether it's Jabari Rice, Marcus Card, Tyrese Hunter, whether whoever you're putting there, Timmy Allen, those guys, and they go, oh, no, when you put us in a game and it's tied, we're down by 2, we're up by 10, whatever it is, we're winning that game.
Yep.
If we're down by 20, that's a problem. But if in the last 6 minutes that lineup's hitting the court, we can go win a game. And that's where Texas is getting now, figuring out that rotation. I agree with Harge. Dylan DeSue's not in there as much as I'd like to see him. You're going to want Dylan Mitchell to be in there. And they've been using Dylan Mitchell a lot of, we're going to put him in the beginning of games, but at the end we don't necessarily trust him in those, and those are Jabari Rice minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give and take where you give and take. That 5 position is kind of the one that is still open for if it's going to be Dylan DeSue, if it's going to be Christian Bishop, if it's going to be Dylan Mitchell, if, Brock even comes in there at certain points at the end. That one is more fluid, just depending on who they're playing against, what their strengths are and weaknesses. But finding that in-game rotation has been a big part of Texas' success, knowing, hey, man, we're going to go in there and, Chris Beard was very big on rotation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it mattered nothing about offense. His rotation was all defensive. Rodney Terry does care a lot more about the offense in this rotation of not necessarily pulling guys always just, hey, man, you were in for 3 minutes, pull you out. And I think down the stretch, it's helped out Texas a lot.
No doubt.
Yeah, Serge Jabari Rice is definitely part of that lineup. I don't know exactly what the clutch lineup would be for him to close out the game, but he's in it. I mean, he's been phenomenal for them down the stretch. And that's why in Big 12 play, Texas leading all the Big 12 teams in bench scoring. Big part of that is the Serge Jabari Rice. Ironically, Kansas, they're the worst team in bench scoring in the Big 12, or in Big 12 play, I should say. So Texas depth can be something that can really help them in this matchup versus Kansas tonight. But getting back to just wrapping up the discussion about the Texas win over K-State, it was 40 total fouls called. In that game. A lot of fouls called in that game.
A lot of fouls.
Yeah.
And I think, for Texas, early on, it was hurting them. And then, like a lot of things, they end up being able to flip that momentum to their advantage in the second half and made a lot of those clutch free throws down the stretch. This game, I wonder if they will also get a lot of calls in this game for Texas and Kansas.
I hope Higgins isn't calling this game. Dude, he can call foul and then be ready to fight because he called a foul on somebody.
Yeah, no, this is that game, it was funny because it came down the stretch. It is 2 physical teams in K-State and Texas, and they keep calling fouls. Hey, man, you guys got to stop. Everyone is going to foul out.
Exactly.
Stop calling everything. And they slowly phased it out near the end. But you could tell for whatever reason, they called it very tight in this game. Just not normal Big 12 reffing. And by the end of the game, we saw Keontae fouled out of the game.
Yep.
Like, there is reasons why it was not the best officiated. It was fair. Both teams were fouling everybody. But it was, they realized near the end of the game they had to stop calling so many fouls.
Yeah, you were hurting I'm going to talk about entertainment value of it. But, I thought they were a little quick on the whistle considering the style of play of both K-State and Texas. But that could be an issue tonight. But the one thing you got to say about Texas right now number 5 in the AP. One thing you got to say about Texas is that they have, and I saw a K-State KSU _ fan mention this, and he does a great job, or she does a great job of breaking down some of the stats for K-State. And they pointed out, and I thought it was a very astute observation, that if you look at the top 7 teams in the Big 12, which are all 500 or better in Big 12 play, that all those other teams except Texas has had a rough stretch where they had to regroup and they couldn't really bounce back. They didn't really show a lot of resilience. Like we said, Texas hasn't lost back-to-back games so far this year, but K-State lost 3 straight and 4 out of 6.
Yep.
Kansas lost 3 straight, now 4 out of 5. Iowa State lost 3 out of 6 at one point. Baylor lost 3 straight early. Oklahoma State lost 4 out of 5 early. and give Ronnie Terry a ton of credit because that seems to be the case in the Big 12 is that you're going to have a slump.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if you can call it a slump. It's just, it's such a tough league. And if you're not on your A game night after night, then you could lose. And just so far, you may not be on your A game 3 nights in a row. Oh, turns out you lost those 3 games. Texas has not really had that type of stretch. And we all assumed if they were going to have that stretch, it would be in this current stretch they're in right now.
Yep.
When they started out, I was having to play. I think they played 3 teams and all of them ranked in the top 11.
Yeah. Tennessee, starting with Tennessee.
And Baylor,
Yep.
and then K-State.
Yep.
And we all said we want them to be at least be 500, 2-2. Well, now they're 2-1 with a chance to go 3-1 in this stretch. But even if they lose this game, not going to work because they're not going to lose this game. But even if they do, still, we haven't seen Texas have that slump that the rest of the Big 12 has had, which shows you there is something about this Texas team. There's a bounce back factor with them.
Yeah.
That's maybe it's the maturity you talk about too and the leadership. But even after the Chris Beard thing, we saw this team bounce back really well after that. So I just love the grit and the fortitude of this group.
That's the main thing. You just said it right there. There is fight in this group no matter what the situation is, whether they're up by 20 or down by 20, they're going to go out there and they're going to continue to fight. And I do look at it and say the maturity of this team with the guard position and what they're capable of doing and how they go about it is what the one thing that I keep looking at. It's guard play is the key, but the scrappiness is the biggest part of their success. They don't care who gets the glory. You can see it.
It seems that way.
They don't care
You're right.
if you're hot, they're going to keep trying to get you the ball.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then they're going to move the ball around and they're going to figure out a way to get the ball back to you. But they share the ball so well to the point of you see other teams, like if a guy is really cooking, they ISO in him. They're taking the ball to the other side and not letting him get it. But then they figure it out and they're like, hold up, man, this guy's hot. Let's keep giving him the ball.
Yeah, we
Let's
saw
keep
with Christian
feeding him.
Bishop.
Yes.
Yep.
Like he's not a
And they
normal
never give
main
the
part of
ball
the
in there.
offense.
That's right. That's right.
And they were getting it to him. Yeah, it's a really, really fun team to watch. It's great that we have a really fun place to watch them play now too in Austin.
Also true.
Like there's so many. It's as much as there's negative about this team this year, of the coach and everything else getting fired. Everything that bad could happen this season, there's a lot of good things to look forward to, and there's a fun team to watch. I'm excited to watch them again tonight.
The only team with more quad 1 wins than Texas in the Big 12 is Kansas.
Yeah.
So Texas has,
I think they 7 or 8 quad 1 wins?
Texas has 8-4 in quad 1 wins. Kansas 9-5. So it's not a big difference right now.
Right.
But
Hey, can we change that tonight?
yeah,
buddy.
exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. Great point. They can change that tonight. Jalen Wilson, who's the Big 12 leading scorer right now, averaging close to 22 points a game, nearly 9 rebounds a game, and he's the guy they got to try to zero in and try to neutralize. But Texas has done a really good job against, I don't know, the other team's main scorer or the other team's top scorer. They do a really good job of being able to discombobulate and neutralize that threat. You may score, but it will be an inefficient stat line pretty much. Hopefully they can do that tonight with Jalen Wilson. All right, coming up on the other side, I want to get into Raj Round the Day. We will get back to this Brian Schottenheimer hire for the Dallas Cowboys. I've been doing a little rabbit holing, and I'm going to show you, at least I'll tell you, why and how the offense may change under Schottenheimer's counsel or advice. He's not calling the plays. Mike McCarthy's calling the plays, but he's going to have some influence on this offense, and we'll talk about what those influences could be, how they're going to help Dak Prescott, how they're going to help the Cowboys get past the divisional round. We'll get into that on the other side. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all know that time is money, and so do my friends over at Apple Leasing. Now, it's a brand new year. You may be trying to forge a brand new you, and maybe you need a brand new automobile too. And if you do, Apple Leasing is the place. They have the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. The good folks at Apple Leasing will help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. And that sounds like that's a proposition that's too good to be true. It's not actually, because all it takes is one phone call or one click on Apple Leasing's website, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They'll even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. Now, Apple Leasing's been doing business in Austin for a long, long time, and the reason is because they make things really simple for their customers. They have what they call their simple interest easy lease, which allows you to have a lot more flexibility, which is going to give you more possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. Inflation is through the roof. We all know it. We all feel it. It's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, buy anything for that matter. So leasing actually makes more sense than ever. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. So call Apple Leasing today at 512-346-9977 and let them see how much money they can save you. See, they get all the same discounts, all the same incentives that the dealers do, except they pass those savings on to you, the customer. That's why I love Apple Leasing too. So give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com. All right, welcome back to Rod's Rant of the Day right here on Ball Don't Lie. I want to get to some Dallas Cowboys discussion. They did hire a new OC. It was an underwhelming, lackluster hire to a lot of Cowboys fans. That's why there hasn't been a lot of buzz about it. I see on the Specs text line, someone said, who did Rod want for the Cowboys OC? I was convinced after doing my research that I thought the best person for the job, and Harge agreed because Harge was on the bandwagon even before I was, and I think Patrick also liked this option, was Brian Johnson, the quarterbacks coach for the Eagles. Both Harge and I were of the opinion that it would be really good to have an outside influence, someone who hasn't been, from the Dallas Cowboys organization, an in-house hire. They love in-house hires, nothing wrong with that, but it'd be nice to get some fresh eyes, fresh ideas, different perspective on your methodology, all that kind of stuff. And they're not doing that. They're going to bring Scott Linehan in, who was a consultant with the Cowboys most recently in 2020.
Schottenheimer, not Linehan.
Oh, why did I say? Brian Schottenheimer. I apologize.
No, you fine.
Brian Schottenheimer, who spent last year with the Cowboys, and 2021 he was a pass game coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So a lot of Cowboys fans don't like the hire. He's 49 years old, but he has been in the NFL for a while. Of course, he is the son of Marty Schottenheimer, who, by the way, gave Mike McCarthy his first job in the NFL as a quality control coach, and ended up giving him his first job as an assistant coach because he was the QB coach with the Kansas City Chiefs. So basically, the last season that Mike McCarthy was on the staff in Kansas City, Brian Schottenheimer was actually on that staff. So they do have a little bit of background there, as well as most recently being a consultant to the Dallas Cowboys. If you look at Brian Schottenheimer's resume, his best stint as a coordinator and a play caller was with Seattle Seahawks in the 2018 to 2020 years and seasons. The reason that I think Mike McCarthy zeroed in on Brian Schottenheimer, or at least we knew, I think the clues and hints were that he was zeroing in on Brian Schottenheimer as his OC, was when they hired Mike Solari, as the offensive line coach. Because Mike Solari was the offensive line coach in Seattle when Brian Schottenheimer was the OC there, when he had his best years, by the way. He had top 10 offenses in those 3 years there. Of course, Russell Wilson had some of his best seasons during that time, but also the decline happened during that time too. And that's when people basically fell out of favor. Brian Schottenheimer did at that point, and then had to go kind of revive his career as a consultant and work his way back up the ladder. But he did have top 10 offenses in points per game those years, and that was with Solari, the offensive line coach, who now he's reunited with here, at least down here in Texas, with the Dallas Cowboys. So that's what I think Mike McCarthy's trying to do. I don't think he's looking for the best candidates possibly at all these coaching vacancies, assistant coaching vacancies. He's looking for the right candidates, meaning he's going to prioritize the chemistry, the continuity, the synchronicity of this coaching staff. And that's why he wants to bring in guys that he has working knowledge of and familiarity with. I'm not knocking it. I probably would have brought, and you still can, by the way, because you still got to hire a quarterback coach. You got 4 or 5 different assistants you got to replace. So there's still a really good chance Cowboys can go outside of the organization, or at least outside of the comfort zone, best way to put it, of Mike McCarthy, and go get someone who is an outside the box hire, but also outside the organization hire. And I really hope they do that. And maybe for quarterback coach, that'll be the case. Here's what I like about Brian Schottenheimer and why I think he'll change the offense a little bit. Now, he is someone who's committed to the run. We know that from just watching Seattle Seahawks games from 2018 to 2020. He will commit to the run, and he has a Air Coryell influence. Don Coryell and Bill Walsh had systems that were really popular at the same time. Bill Walsh had a better publicist, and Bill Walsh's offense essentially was more successful because it was associated with championships because of the 49ers, all right, in the West Coast offense. So it took off and became more mainstream. But Don Coryell's offense, people still have adopted Air Coryell principles. Essentially, the difference is Bill Walsh's West Coast offense used a lot of crossing routes, a lot more timing routes, crossing routes, movement routes, and Don Coryell loved the vertical passing game, downfield, deep ball, down the field. And that's what Brian Schottenheimer loves. He's actually an Eric Coryell influence guy, so you'll get more vertical routes down the field. So when you be talking about Eric Coryell and not with Brian Schottenheimer, that's what we're going with. And by the way, I love me some Dunn Coryell. Is Dunn Coryell in the Hall of Fame? If not, he needs to be.
I'm a big fan of him, too. I used to love him when he went to San Diego Chargers. I'm not sure of that. I'll check on that, though.
Yeah, he should be. Anyway, there's always been a big, I don't know, I think it was a rivalry basically between, and I don't know if it was official between Bill Walsh and Coryell, but at least those who were advocates for those systems treated it like a rivalry. It was basically like Thomas Edison and Tesla back in the day, all right? Alternating current and direct current. Anyway, getting too nerdy. I digress. Getting back to it. But Brian Schottenheimer, he likes the Eric Coryell influence, which is why it's good, because you'll get less hitch routes, less stop routes, less in routes, less curl routes. Remember, Sark's big on this, right? Sark likes what he calls movement routes. That's when the wide receiver is hit on the move, right? So you can get yak yards. So he doesn't like the hitch routes. And by the way, the Cowboys, a lot of hitch routes in Kellen Moore's offense, a lot of stop routes. Actually, the fourth most hitch routes in the NFL came from Kellen Moore's offense. And Brian Schottenheimer, like I said, because of those Coryell influences, he wants to get the ball down the field, movement routes, not stationary targets, so you can get China passing game, shallow crossing patterns, spears, the overs, the unders, those drive routes. So that's good. And remember, that was Russell Wilson's game, right? They wanted to run it, and they want to take deep shots down the field. So that's actually something I think Cowboys fans will like. You're going to see more of a downfield passing game, vertical passing game, and less of the underneath stuff that people thought all too often was predictable.
Yep.
And lacked creativity. Let's talk about run game and play action, because he's known as being kind of a run game, play action extraordinaire. And a huge advocate for the play action game and that concept overall. And that was big with Russell Wilson when he was with the Seattle Seahawks. So 3 years with Seattle, their play action pass rate was 8th most in the NFL over that time span for the Seattle Seahawks, 28.4%. And for the Cowboys, I know, Hart, you're big on this. You always said, I want to see more play action pass from Dak. I bet you get closer to 30% in Mike McCarthy's new offense with Brian Schottenheimer, because they had a lot of it with Seattle, and the Cowboys, they're higher up there. They're not one of the teams that totally disregards play action pass, but considering the stark differences between Dak with play action pass and without, they need to be utilizing it more.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that we've been talking about, and we see it. I mean, we've watched it happen and saw his effectiveness on the play action. And I know people keep saying, well, you need to be able to run the ball to run play action. Not necessarily. You just need a moment.
No,
you need a moment of time where the linebackers can be fooled for a second.
And you don't even need – they've done studies and looked at yards per rush and, rushing yards overall and compared it when the play-action pass concept is utilized. And you're totally right. The numbers say that it doesn't matter, that linebackers and defenders still fall for the play-action pass. I always say it's like cleavage. All you need is a peek. All right? You don't want to stare. A peek, and you get. All right? Yep. It's easy peasy. So I think that you're going to see more of that. Also, the running game, Cowboys love the outside zone. That's kind of their bread and butter run play. They run outside zone a ton. You're going to get more inside zone potentially. That's Brian Schottenheimer's bread and butter. So I don't know if you're going to stop your outside zone, but you're going to get more inside zone. I know that. They were third. The Seattle Seahawks were third in inside zone rate. 41% of their runs were inside zone with Seattle. The Cowboys are 19th in the NFL at inside zone rate, 20% in 2022. So that will increase, I guarantee you. Also, something to look at is the run rate on first down. The Cowboys fans were really upset because they thought they were really predictable on first down. They ran the ball a lot on first down. Mm-hmm. That is true. The Cowboys ran the ball 57%, over 57% of the time on first down. Brian Schottenheimer's 3 years with Seattle, 51% run rate on first down. So you'll get less runs on first down, which should make you a little less predictable on first down. So these are little subtle things. These are small things. I think that Mike McCarthy will add some other conceptual ideas. But I think Brian Schottenheimer works well with Mike McCarthy, and that's why he's bringing him in. But just some of these things, if he just sticks to what he is known for and what his reputation is, you're going to get more movement routes, less hitch routes and stop routes and curl routes, so more vertical passing game downfield. He's a play-action extraordinaire, so you're going to get increased play-action pass rate. You're going to get a lot more inside zone runs, and you're going to get more passing on first down. That's just like subtle trends. I'm going to do some more rabbit holing, but that's just subtle stuff. And what I like about Brian Schottenheimer, I remember doing some rabbit holing about him, just as from a football theorist standpoint. And if you go look at the rising trend of wide receiving rushing yards, like wide receivers used in the running game, he was one of the pioneers of it in the modern NFL. I mean, he was, with the Jets, 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 and with the St. Louis Rams, man, and even with Seattle actually too. He utilized a lot of wide receiving rushing yards. That's something you could see increase too. Remember Brad Smith back in the day?
Yeah.
He would use Brad Smith.
He lives here, actually.
Yeah, who finished. Does he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Finished second. He first in the NFL in wide receiving rushing yards in 2010, second in 2011. And he utilized that a ton. Even when he got to the Rams, they drafted Tavon Austin.
Yep.
And Tavon Austin ended up being his weapon. He led all wide receivers in rushing yards after they drafted him. I think that was 2012, I believe. 2013, I believe, is when they drafted him. So he led all receivers in rushing yards after that. So it's one of his little niche concepts that he loves, that he has pioneered and really popularized in the NFL. I know the Cowboys did a little bit with CeeDee Lamb. I wouldn't doubt if they bring back a Tony Pollard and you'll see some of their wide receivers. And guys like Tony Pollard, they're hybrid utility back, used in more wide receiving roles in the running game. Because he's done that a ton everywhere he's gone. Seattle, remember they had Percy Harvin there when they brought him back for a while. Like he's one of those guys. Like he's always had a wide receiver that fits that role everywhere he's gone.
Yeah. We need that. We've been saying it for a long time. Remember, we were thinking, why wasn't Turpin getting the ball?
Yeah.
Why wasn't Kevontae Turpin? You know what I'm saying?
Can be one of those
he
guys
can be
too.
that guy.
He really can be one of those guys.
He was doing great in the flag football game yesterday. They were finding ways to get him the ball in the Pro Bowl game. He was getting it, flag.
Yeah.
So now let's see if they can figure out a way to draw up some plays for him this year, getting them out of the backfield and having them run those jet sweeps and all that other stuff. Get him the ball.
Yeah. You're right. So that's a little preview on what the offense may look like, how it may look a little bit differently under Brian Schottenheimer, the new OC for the Dallas Cowboys. So hopefully it's not all doom and gloom. I know Cowboys fans are a little underwhelmed by the hire, but give them a chance. It's not the best hire, but it's not a bad hire.
Right.
It's not a bad hire.
It's not.
A lot of people are like, it's not a bad hire. It's not the best hire.
Just remember, he's not the play caller.
And he's not the play caller.
Yeah.
Some house cleaning for you. Don Coryell is in the College Football Hall of Fame, inducted in
Yes.
1999. He is in the Chargers Hall of Fame.
But
He's not in the NFL Hall of Fame. They
That's-
say the main knock because he never made it to a Super Bowl, so he has not been voted in.
He was a finalist, though.
He has been a
was
finalist. He has gotten
multiple
votes, but he has
times,
not gotten in
Yeah.
because he is not.
I understand
he's
that,
not
but man, now his system is just so popular among great coaches. So conceptually, I understand that, and he never made the Super Bowl, but his system has been to a lot of Super Bowls.
And
with all the coaches.
Here's a
that have
little
used
note
it.
for you too. Guess who was under his coaching tree? You always talk about the coaching tree and how it all branches
Coryell?
out. Yeah, Don Coryell.
Oh, yeah.
John Madden, Ray Perkins, Joe Gibbs, Jen Hannafin, Rod Dowhauer, Al Saunders, and Jim Elmora, the son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Eric Coryell. It's mostly. I'm telling you, it's old school, like this old school rift, I believe. I don't know why it is what it is. I've kind of studied it, but people believe there was like this rivalry going on between the Coryell offense and the West Coast offense.
Yep.
And the NFL basically chose the West Coast offense, and that's what became popular. And that the Coryell offense has essentially been written out of the history of the NFL, and I don't know why, because the Coryell offense is really, really popular. People just don't talk about it. It doesn't have the great marketing and the great name that the West Coast offense did.
Right.
The name is everything. The name is everything.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that he was on the Chargers, so it was also West Coast.
Yeah.
They couldn't even call it anything else. Like, well, you're also West Coast. You're
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
Well, like more Central Southern.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, it was the West Coast offense. The label was an insult by Bill Parcells. He was mocking the West Coast offense. He said, "Yeah, you know what? And now, what do y'all think?" He had just beaten the 49ers. He said, "What do y'all think of y'all's West Coast offense now?" And the media just ran with it. They were like, "Oh, West Coast offense. That sounds pretty good." And that's why they called the West Coast offense. It wasn't something that Bill Walsh said. This is the West Coast offense. This is my offense, and I love it. I just named it that. No. It wasn't like when Mike Leach named, and by the way, Mike Leach named it the air raid. He said it's because the fans use the air raid horn. The first, and then somebody said you should call it the air raid offense. He said, all right, I'll call it the air raid offense. So yeah, Coryell just needed a better name than the Air Coryell. It didn't take. You ever see the movie? Oh man, it's the movie about the McDonald's ownership.
Kroc, or whatever it was called.
It's Ray Kroc is who it's about, but I forgot what the actual name of the movie is. There's a great scene in the movie where the McDonald's family, because they are the McDonald's family, they actually it was their name,
right? And
they asked Ray Kroc, who actually ends up basically taking all of their he takes all of their business from them, and he ends up, it's kind of I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but it's kind of a sad story, but he ends up essentially winning the McDonald's business, and it becomes
the founder.
His business. Is it called The Founder?
Yeah.
Great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it.
Yep.
Great scene at the end of the movie where the McDonald's guy, one of the brothers, says, he's talking to Ray Kroc in the restroom. He says, dude, why did you need, he said, you had the recipes, you had the model, because essentially their claim to fame at the time was that they basically used assembly line methods for their burgers, and nobody was doing that. They was getting them out real quick.
Right.
So basically just kind of took that around the country and decided to buy up more real estate than any other fast food chain in the history of America at the time, which made McDonald's basically a real estate company and not a burger company. They were flipping burgers and fries. Real estate was where the money was.
That's exactly right.
But in the scene, the brother says, you had all this. You could have taken the business and not used our name. Why'd you take our name? Because he won the name in the lawsuit.
Yep.
He could use the name McDonald's. That's our name. Why'd you take the name? You had everything else. You had the business. You had the model. You had the recipe. You could have just taken that and started your own business. He's like, my name is Ray Kroc. Crocs. It's not a great name.
Now you get shoes.
He's like, nobody thinks about Crocs. Nobody wants to go there and get a burger. He said, McDonald's. It's a great name.
Yeah.
He said, it's all in the name. The name was the key, man. The McDonald's, that name, that's a great name. He said, Crocs, not a good name. And I got to get back to that West Coast offense was a great name for it.
Right.
The Air Coryell just didn't work as well. It didn't flow as well.
Because it was more about your name and not the game's name.
Yeah, it was weird how it worked out the way. Anyway, but I digress. Getting back to it, we got Off the Record coming up next right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all know that happy hour at my friends at Twin Peaks is better than ever. 2 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. You can score great deals like $1 off all wine, liquor, cheap shots, and freezing cold 29-degree draft brews. And if you feel a little bit snacky and you're feeling a little peckish, you're a baller on a budget like me, you also love those $2, $4, and $6 appetizers that are also a part of the happy hour experience at your local Twin Peaks. And if you love great food, then what are you waiting for? Twin Peaks is a perfect spot to enjoy lunch, dinner, or those late night eats. They have a great scratch menu. Every delicious dish on the menu is made from scratch. So if you're thinking about a new favorite spot for lunch or for dinner, like I said, or those late night eats, folks, you can't forget about Twin Peaks. So also go check out TwinPeaksRestaurant.com to find out all the specials happening at your local Twin Peaks. And there's one near you, the Stassie location, the San Marcos location, or the Round Rock location. You can go check it out for yourself. And don't forget, Twin Peaks is your hockey headquarters. Every Wednesday night, you can watch and win there. You can score great NHL swag, authentic jerseys there as well. And they got their Wednesday night hockey at the Lodge. So check that out. You also got Jaeger and Jaeger Cold Brew happening there at Twin Peaks, $3.99 all day and all night. So go check that out, TwinPeaksRestaurant.com. Twin Peaks Eats, Drinks, and Scenic Views. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Next segment, we'll get you caught up with NFL news, notes, and nuggets. A lot of NFL stories breaking during the show, so we'll get those to you next segment. Also, talk about Sean Payton making a lot of straight cash, homie, with his new job as head coach of the Denver Broncos. It is a Smooth Soul Monday. My man Patrick playing some soulful jams to hopefully pick up your spirits. Let me get to this story real quick because I didn't watch it. Full disclosure, I'll be honest about that. The Pro Bowl was this past weekend. Oh, sorry, the Pro Bowl games were this past weekend.
Yep.
I didn't watch not 1 minute of it.
I did.
Okay.
Got a chance to watch some of it.
The NFC won 35-33. What were the highlights?
There were 3 games that were played during that time. So you play one round, next group comes in, play the next round, then there'll be another one. So they had 3 games that were played. That's how they came up to the point total that you had. But the best part about it to me was the other games that were being played, not actually the
flag football game.
But I'm talking about they played kick-tack-toe, where they were kicking to win that, and then you had the dodgeball part of it, then you had the obstacle courses that were part of it. I thought that was better than the actual game. It was very entertaining. And the most important part about it, those guys looked like they were actually having fun. And that place was packed. There were so many. I mean, there wasn't an empty seat.
We'll have to see what the ratings are for it.
Yeah, for sure.
To see if it's a success. But if the guys were having fun and you enjoyed watching it, I guess that's all that counts. I think the NFL is going to see it as a success because I bet when they get the ratings back, whether they're big time ratings or not, when they look at the demographics, the NFL is they're trying to tailor this program. And they're trying to target a certain demo, and it's kids.
Yep.
That's why they want these guys acting like kids, playing kids games.
Mm-hmm.
This is the NFL's candy cigarette.
Yep.
And they want to offer this candy cigarette to all the little kids out there and go, hey, that's my favorite player on my fantasy team, and he's also out there playing a sport that I also play.
Right.
Dodgeball or kickball or whatever it is.
Yep.
And honestly, I think it's going to be a major hit with the kiddos.
Well, and I'll add this other part that I realized through it when they're doing the flag football. Normally in the Pro Bowl, you still have helmets on, so you still don't get that FaceTime of seeing a player and having that recognition. Now they have their FaceTime, so everyone, you're watching these players and you're putting more faces to names, and it's just, you're like, oh, marketing-wise, that's really smart for getting the players more exposure. So I thought that was just really smart as well.
Spoken like a true NBA guy, but that's one of the huge benefits of the NBA in
You're
terms
trying
of
to make
marketing
money.
Promotions. They're trying to sell players,
Yes.
and it's easier to sell a guy when I can see his face.
Yeah, when you sell a matchup, how often do you sell a matchup on offense versus defense or player versus player?
Yeah.
You sell player versus player. That's always what you sell. So if you do that and there's not a face to a cornerback or a face to a tight end, or you want to add that because everybody knows quarterbacks, but everybody else
don't know the face.
That's why they tell you take your helmet off on the field. They're going to fine you.
Yeah.
Because they don't want your face on the field. But it's like, hey, give them the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowler's going to do it.
That's a great point. But I totally agree with you on that. Yeah, you don't think about that, but who the hell knows how the best linebacker in the league looks? Most people, we do, but most novice fans, they have no idea.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. It's a great point.
Yeah, I thought it was great because you got to see these kids out there enjoying the game, number one. Mm-hmm. They got a chance to be a part of it. You got to get personalities like Eli Manning and Peyton Manning coaching against each other, talking trash to each other.
That was cool.
Mic'd up.
Yeah.
And then you get Stephon Diggs versus Trayvon Diggs. They're going against each other, the matchups against brothers and things that you get to hear them talking trash to each other. That was the beautiful part about it. And funny thing was, there was a guy at one of the bars, and he was like, hey, the Pro Bowl's on. The Pro Bowl's on. And the bartender kept trying to turn the channel, and she was like, this is all we got. This is it. He was like, no, the Pro Bowl's on. This is it.
This is the Pro Bowl, dude.
No, it's not. This is some other stuff. It's like, this is the Pro Bowl.
This is the new Pro Bowl, sir.
This is what you're dealing with moving forward.
I'm sorry you're not going to watch a bunch of men not try at football for a couple hours. But
yeah. No, at least they tried. That's right.
Hey, man, we got to see Jalen Ramsey take out
Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
Oh, man, Myles Garrett, did he break a toe or something?
Probably.
Yeah.
That's just
but
too
that Jalen
much,
Ramsey one was just funny. They pitch it back to Tyreek Hill, and he's going for the flag of the first guy, but since he pitches it back, he's like, well, you just getting taken out.
Just get some of the smoke.
Was that a flag? Flag. I mean, was it like a penalty?
It probably was.
Was it a penalty?
I didn't pay attention that much, but I was like, this is actually fun. My son was like, Look at their faces.
he was
They're
enjoying
having
it?
so
Yeah.
much fun.
Texter says my 7-year-old son enjoyed it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think honestly the NFL, I think it's exactly what they want. They
Yep.
want your
Yep.
son Horace to enjoy it, and they want the Texter's son to enjoy it.
Yep.
They don't really care about us.
They don't.
It ain't for us.
And but we're getting a chance to see our kids' face and how they're, oh, yeah, I would have made him miss on that move right there.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have got my flag.
And
they
I
wouldn't
think
have
it's
got my
good to
flag.
make flag football more popular.
Yep.
I remember when there was a belief that, oh man, you playing flag and not playing, pads.
Yep.
Like, there was like, this stigma associated with it that you weren't tough enough. Now people are saying, no, flag football is a step
Yep.
in your
getting you in the
evolution, your
concepts.
development.
Yep.
Yes. And then once you're ready for the physicality of pads, then you put on the pads and it's time to go.
No
And
doubt.
by the way, now, with 7-on-7 culture, we know 7-on-7 and flag, they're separate sports now.
And it's straight physical out there, too.
They're separate sports altogether.
seen it.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
question. All right, we come back. We'll get into NFL news, notes, and nuggets on the other side and talk about how much money Sean Payton's making, because it's a lot. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about the League Kitchen and Tavern. That's right. Do yourself a favor. Go to leaguekitchen.com and check out all of the information on there. They have 4 locations here in the Austin area, Avery Ranch, Bee Cave, Belterra, and, of course, Lakeway. It is Austin-owned and operated. Make sure you figure out if you want to go to dine in or if you want to pick it up, whether it's lunch or dinner. They have fresh specials from the chefs that will make you smile from ear to ear. They got a shrimp po' boy that is the burger of the month. I know it's not a burger, but it's a shrimp po' boy. So make sure you check that out. You can also get a Creole Cobb salad. They've got stuffed pork chop, and of course you can go there for game day. Whatever you're deciding to do, make the League Tavern one of your favorite places to go. The League Kitchen and Tavern. Go to leaguekitchen.com and check out more. Whether you're going to get a drink special or you want to go have some dinner, make sure you check out the League. The League Kitchen and Tavern.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Last hour of the show. And then, well, we got a little break, but at 7:30 we got the pregame for Texas versus Kansas on Big Monday. And then we'll have the tip-off coming for you at 8 o'clock right here on 104.9 The Horn. Smooth Soul Monday. My man Patrick doing a great job DJing a Smooth Soul Monday. Hopefully it picks up your spirits this Monday. You can be a part of the show. Specs Text Line's the best way to do it. 512-337-3776. That's the number. I am at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. My man Harge at Hardball Harge, and the Patrick Davis is at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. All right, got a couple of NFL news notes and nuggets we got to get to, and then we'll talk about Sean Payton making $18 million a year. Yeah, that's the number that's been thrown out there. Whew, I think that makes him the second highest paid coach in the league, right?
I think it makes him probably the first, but
Yeah.
Because I think Belichick makes more, right?
I think Sean McVay was the only one who made more.
I think Belichick's supposed to make a lot too, but I don't know.
I'll have to look up my sources.
Yeah, no, I don't exactly. I mean, I know Belichick made a lot. It's because it makes sense that Belichick makes a lot. But you're right, Sean McVay is probably in that conversation as well. But anyway, we'll get to that coming up here in a second. Let's talk first about some of these NFL hires. There have been some moves made in the NFL. Oh, and before we do that, let's hit a Super Bowl preview. Now, we're not breaking down the Super Bowl like we're going to be doing it later on this week. We'll be hitting it from every different angle. But we do have a sponsor for our Super Bowl previews and the Horns.
It's our big game coverage.
Oh, sorry.
Remember,
Big
they're sponsored.
Game.
It's big game coverage.
I apologize. Big game coverage. My bad. Hit us with the big game coverage promo. Hit. All right, the Kansas City Chiefs have activated their running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire off of injured reserve Monday, and they put wide receiver Mecole Hardman on IR, so he is going to miss the big game. And it looks like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was dealing with a high ankle sprain since week 11, I think got that against the Chargers, he is now going to be available. And man, one thing I will throw out there, because I've been doing a little bit of breakdown about this matchup between the Chiefs and the Eagles. There's, to me, only one real storyline that I think is going to determine this game, and it's more of a macro one than a micro one, so it's not very specific. But if you look at every positional breakdown and matchup in this game between Philly and Kansas City, Philly has every advantage except quarterback and head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, O-line, D-line.
I'm with you.
Secondary, wide receiver, tight end. I take that back. Head coach, quarterback, and tight end.
Okay.
All right? So I'll give Kelsey his props.
Oh, yeah.
All right? Because Kelsey deserves that. But am I missing anything? Isn't that just the three? But those three, head coach, quarterback, and tight end, I mean, that may be all Kansas City needs.
That's what they've been getting by with the entire time.
Yeah.
So when you brought up the Mecole Hardman being out, I mean, it does suck because it takes away that deep threat
Yeah, he's
to
a speed
stretch
guy.
the field a little
Yeah,
bit.
he's a speed
So
guy.
I could see where that can be a part that's broken up. But to your point, you know that Kelsey's going to get the ball, and he still gets the ball.
I know that would be my concern with the Eagles, that they're so good on the outside with Bradbury and with All-Pro Darius Slay that they'll say, you know what, man, Juju Smith-Schuster and Kadarius Toney and Watson and Sky Moore, you know what? We'll be man-to-man on those guys.
Yeah.
We doubling Kelsey on every down, on every play.
We're
taking him away.
bracketing him. We're gonna do everything.
If you beat us one-on-one on the outside, our All-Pro corner versus Juju, go ahead.
Yep.
All right? And the best pass rush the NFL has seen in what? 5-6 years.
Yeah, you put up
One
some
of the
big
best
numbers.
pass rushes in the
Yep.
history of the NFL.
Yep.
You know what? We're gonna bank on our pass rush getting there before you can actually exploit the wide receiver DB one-on-one matchup. Which, by the way, you may not have an advantage in because your wide receivers, they aren't stellar.
No.
They're just average.
Yeah.
They're just Jags.
Yeah. To your point, I mean, you sit there and you look and try to figure it out, and you're like, how is this going to work defensively for you? When I look at the film on the Eagles defense, you talked about the rush and the outside. their linebackers and up the middle aren't that bad either.
No, they're legit.
They fly to the football. But to your point, Patrick Mahomes may not have that much time to get the ball out of his hands because they get to the quarterback.
They do.
They get to the quarterback, and they get there quickly from all angles. Hassan Reddick, we don't talk about him enough.
No, well, Shadow should have been talking about him more before that game, too. Shadow didn't talk about him enough either.
Exactly. Didn't game plan enough to keep that dude out of there.
Yeah, it just I've been breaking down the matchup, and of course, like I said, as we get closer to the big game, we will dive further and further down that rabbit hole. But there's just a lot of things right now that I'm looking at that have me leaning toward the Eagles.
Yeah.
It just
I like it.
But quarterback and head coach and tight end, that may be all the advantage that the Kansas City Chiefs need in this matchup. And one thing I'll throw out there too, this is a little nugget, and then we'll move on to some other stuff because I know we're not going to talk Super Bowl here just early. But here's a little nugget. So the last time a team had 4 rookies starting in the Super Bowl on defense. Actually, I take that back. Just 4 rookie DBs. So last time a team, because the Chiefs have 4 rookie DBs, they play a lot with Trent McDuffie, Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, and Brian Cook. The 81 49ers had 3 with Ronnie Lott, Eric Wright, and Carlton Williamson.
I remember him.
You old.
Yeah.
That's because you old. The only other team to start 2 rookie DBs in the Super Bowl were the 2016 Falcons, Keanu Neal and Brian Poole. The only other team besides the 1981 Niners to play 4 rookies in the Super Bowl was the 2001 Rams, but only Art Shaletta was a starter. So they got starting rookies.
Archuleta, that's right.
They got starting rookies in their secondary versus arguably the best wide receiving duo in the league.
Yeah.
That's a concern. And by the way, the Super Bowl, you haven't seen a lot of that. Like I said, the 81 49ers last time, you got to go back to a team with 4 rookie DBs as primary players. So even in the rotation, they're not all starters. They got 3 rookie DBs that are starters, but still.
Yeah.
Still crazy.
Well, you got to exploit them, man, right? You got to exploit those rookies. You got to try to figure out a way to make that happen. So I'm excited for this game, believe it or not. I think this is going to be a very entertaining Super Bowl.
It should be.
Just because of the characters that are involved in it. I think we're going to figure out some guys that are going to be household names as well. There's a lot of guys that a lot of people don't know across the country because they don't follow them. Mm-hmm. And you're going to start to see it. And one of them, again, is Hassan Reddick. I love what you said about Bradbury on the defensive end. He's deep over there. I mean, he provides it. And Fletcher Cox, this is another opportunity for Fletcher Cox and Ndamukong Suh to make that big run again, right?
They're so deep.
I know.
They're so deep on the D-line.
It keeps coming at you.
I mean, they got 4 guys. They got double-digit sacks on that defensive front, and that's not even talking about guys like Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph and Fletcher Cox.
Yeah,
they're extremely deep on the defensive front. All right, we'll talk more about the big game, and thanks to our good friends Texas Truck and Trailer for sponsoring our big game coverage right here on 104.9 The Horn. All right, here's some other NFL news, notes, and nuggets. Ejiro Evero. Remember, he was the defensive coordinator for the Broncos. He has now been hired as the new defensive coordinator for the Panthers. And he was a fast riser, too. He's actually getting some head coaching consideration as well. But he's going to be the new defensive coordinator for the Panthers. And remember, the Panthers, at one point, before they hired Frank Reich, they were considering hiring Steve Wilks. Mm-hmm. Well, the 49ers are interviewing Steve Wilks potentially to be their new defensive coordinator. So they might like them.
I like Steve Wilks. I like him. I think he did a hell of a job with the situation that he had in Carolina, which was interesting to me because they ended up hiring Frank Reich as the head coach. And the fact that he's from Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina.
That's wild.
Has been there, done it all, and he's a hometown guy, and you don't want to keep him around. And you saw what he did when you didn't have any players around him. That was amazing to me.
They played inspired football.
Yes, they did.
When they didn't have any good players. Well,
they did.
They insulting good players.
Yeah.
They didn't have any great players.
Right. I'm
a
down
lot of
with
good
you on that
players,
one.
not great players though, because
Yep.
they trade them away.
Yep.
That's the whole point. So now
No quarterback.
Yeah, so I'm not going to insult Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard. They did a good job there, but man, they did more with less. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, for the fact that they traded away their starting running back and cut their starting quarterback and then gave him the team and he did better.
Right.
That's pretty hard to do.
After
Yes.
firing the coach and everything
Yeah.
too, yeah, it's amazing. And how many quarterbacks they used? 3 or 4?
Yep.
For that season,
For
right?
that
I think they
season.
went 4.
Yeah, because
it's
remember they
crazy.
got my man P.J. Walker. They had
Baker Mayfield, Sam
Darnold.
and I thought they had
Corral didn't play this
Corral
season
didn't play,
because he
but
got
there was
hurt.
another guy. They had another quarterback.
Yeah.
They
They
played with
did
4
have
quarterbacks.
another one. It was another. I can't
Yeah.
remember who it is right now. But you're right. It's a phenomenal job he did. And I think Shano would be smart to bring on Steve Wilkes, actually.
Yep.
The Saints expected to hire former Browns DC, I should say, Joe Woods as their defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess he actually spent. Oh man, he's been around. Joe Woods has been around a lot.
Yeah, he's
actually.
been around the game quite a bit.
He bounces around a lot more than you think for a guy that has a pretty good reputation in the NFL. But he's going to be the Saints' new defensive coordinator, and I mean with Coach Allen there, I mean he's a defensive guy too, so
Right.
he knows what he's doing hiring Joe Woods. Also, it's reported that the former Steelers linebackers coach and senior defensive assistant for the Steelers, is now going to be hired by the Vikings as their defensive coordinator. So Brian Flores will now be the defensive coordinator for the Vikings. He was, like I said, formerly the Steelers linebackers coach and their senior defensive assistant. That is a damn good hire, too,
Yeah.
for Kevin O'Connell. I mean, everybody knows Brian Flores can coach some defense. His issues were not about management and the controversy with the Dolphins and the allegations that ownership were trying to get him to throw the season. And
Yep,
now he's got
yep.
the lawsuit, discrimination lawsuit against the NFL. So it's usually stuff that's got nothing to do with his prowess as a coach that's pretty come back to haunt him. But as a defensive coordinator, I think Brian Flores is one of the best in the league.
Yeah, I'm
That's-
with you on that. And I've always been a big fan of his because he is one of those guys that every time you see him, the way he coaches his team, he gets the most out of them. Remember, even when he was doing even when he was with the Dolphins, he wasn't trying to tank.
No.
His team was playing hard for him, and he was bringing it every single time. And those are the things that I continue to look at and say, that guy's a damn good coach, and his defenses was always putting it on people.
Yeah, I like Brian Flores as a
Yeah.
coach, so I think that's a good move by Minnesota.
I'll say probably my favorite coach out of the Belichick coaching tree.
Brian Flores?
Oh,
I mean,
I agree.
Bill O'Brien may have a better record as a head coach. I will say Brian Flores is probably my favorite.
as an NFL coaches, that's a good point. I mean, it's hard to argue because they haven't had a lot of success from that Bill Belichick coaching tree. Bill O'Brien, I think, has been the most successful NFL coach from that Belichick coaching tree. Some people want to put Vrabel on that coaching tree, but Vrabel never coached under Belichick,
Yep.
just played
Yeah.
under Belichick.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. Getting back to it, I like that hire by them as well. Let's get to this Sean Payton story before we get to the next segment. Next segment, we're going to talk some Kyrie Irving being traded to the Mavs. But Sean Payton, it's official now. It was reported by Pro Football Talk that he would make between $16 to $20 million. They just didn't know exactly where he would land in that range. Well, Peter King, in his latest Monday Morning Quarterback, or Football in America, actually he's done with Morning Quarterback, Football in America column, he pointed out that $18 million per year is the number that his sources are telling him that Sean Payton will be locking in for his new contract, I believe over 5 years.
That's
with
a
the
lot of
Broncos.
money, man.
That's a lot of money, but they give him a lot of money and a lot of picks. Remember, they're
Yes.
going all in with Russell Wilson because they gave up, they basically mortgaged their future for Russell Wilson. And I agree with the move. You've put so much into Russell Wilson, cash and draft capital. You need to bring in someone who's going to help you revive his career, help you maximize that investment. And that's why, you got to, double down, if you will. Some would say throwing good money after bad, but you got to trade the draft capital to get Sean Payton, who was the most coveted coach in this coaching carousel. And also, you got to pay the man straight cash, homie.
Yep.
So he's also now one of the highest paid coaches in the NFL, too.
What do you think his biggest? I mean, he's earned it. I didn't realize he was with the Saints for 15 years.
2006, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was with them that
time,
long.
man. Long time.
And with all the situations with Bountygate and everything else that was involved. But when you look at what his goals are going to be at the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson, what are you most looking forward to finding out about them? About their relationship. What's going to happen?
Sean Payton and Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
One thing he already said I thought was interesting, they asked him would Russell Wilson be allowed to bring in his own private coaches like he did last season, and Sean Payton laughed and scoffed and was like, no.
Yeah, that don't fly around
Of course
here.
not. You're not bringing in your own private I'm the coach.
Right.
It's my
Hey,
coaching.
I'm not Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, basically, that's what he wanted to say that, but he didn't say it.
Nathaniel Hackett didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
I just got traded a first-round pick for. Just gonna tell you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I think he wanted to say, but he didn't.
Did he rub his face with the ring on? Just
Yeah.
the Super Bowl ring. Like, I don't know.
How you want to talk about this right here?
So I think. Listen, I don't know if it's gonna be a success. I believe it is gonna be a success. I've talked about this before. If you become a kind of known for being a quarterback guru, or someone who can bring out the best in quarterbacks no matter where you are. And Sean Payton does have the reputation from Drew Brees, but also what he did without Drew Brees with the Saints when Drew Brees had injuries, and what he did with Taysom Hill and Teddy Bridgewater. He's a guy known for getting the best out of quarterbacks. And like I said, this day and age, that makes you a made man in the NFL.
He MacGyvered the quarterback position.
That's what Sean McVay did. Sean McVay turned Jared Goff into a Super Bowl quarterback, and everybody went, he's a god.
Yeah.
There's no way to look at it. He's a football god. No, he's just a damn good coach, and he's better at evaluating, developing quarterbacks than most. Remember Bill Walsh?
He's a problem solver.
Yeah, remember what Bill Walsh famously said? He said, listen, very few people can evaluate the quarterback position, and even fewer can coach it. And I think that's truer and truer every day. Sean Payton's one of those rare souls that I believe can do both, evaluate it and can coach it.
Yeah, and I would agree with you on that. And this is going to be a big challenge for him. The interesting part about how he's going to work with Russell, I think that's already been taken care of because he just let you know, no, that don't fly here. But then the coordination with these wide receivers, because you can see certain players being from his New Orleans Saints days. If you really think about it, you look at the big wide receiver. What was his name?
Which one for them?
For
Denver?
No, when he was with the Saints.
Michael Thomas.
No, not the other one before him.
Oh, wow.
He wore number 12. He was a big wide receiver. I think his name was Michael something.
I think I know
if I'm not mistaken.
about.
But anyway,
I know you're talking
he
about.
fits Cortland Sutton. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Marcus Colston.
Colston,
that's it.
Great job.
So you put Cortland Sutton as him because he's a big, powerful wide receiver.
I like that.
Then you bring in some of the other positions and the other wide receivers that he had, and that's Hamler and that's Judy. So you have your guys that can fit your system. They just got to adjust to the system.
I think you made a great point. I love that comparison. And looking at this head coaching salaries, Pro Football Network, this is from them. So if they got it wrong, blame them. They say Belichick is the highest paid at $20 million.
Yeah, I've seen that now. I see that one that he signed that in 2022 December. The list I was looking at was before he signed his new contract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Sean McVay, they got Sean McVay beneath Pete Carroll here on this.
Yeah, I've seen Sean McVay's thrown around between 18 and 14.
I think he's more than 14. I bet he's closer to 16 or 17.
I mean, especially if he came back for another year.
Yeah, I think that one might be a little low. But yeah, I mean, and something tells me that Sean Payton basically said, I want to be the second highest paid coach behind Belichick, because they basically told him, we can't justify paying you more than Belichick.
Yeah, we're giving up the picks.
Right?
And I'm sure they're like,
that.
look, we'll renegotiate in a couple years if you get us to a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
We're fine with renegotiating
gladly,
if you get us where we want to go.
Great point.
But you got to get us there
You
first.
got to get us there, and then we'll go. Andy Reid's underpaid.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Andy Reid's only making $12 million a year. He's underpaid.
Yeah, because Patrick Mahomes got all that money.
Nah, that's
They
true.
gave it to Patrick.
I guess he's probably got some incentives though
Yeah,
that
for
are
sure.
like built into the contract
Super
about
Bowl
getting
champion and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I bet he's got a nice incentive laden deal there. And John Harbaugh's at $12 million too. Okay. Josh McDaniels got a nice deal. He's at $10 million.
Yeah.
Got a good.
I'm sure that they're
Shannon's
real
at
happy
$10 million.
about that, huh?
Shannon's at $10
Well, I
million.
think Sean's actually, I think Kyle might have been boosted a little bit too
Okay.
recently.
Yeah. Well, he should be.
Yeah.
$10 million. Well, I mean, $10 million is sufficient, but if Josh McDaniels making $10 million, I'm Shannon. I'm like, hey,
Yeah, come on, bring
Josh
me
McDaniels
that.
can't make the same amount of money as me. Y'all know this, okay? So y'all need to pay your boy.
Hey, man, remember when I was playing in a championship game with a 4-string quarterback?
Exactly.
Christian McCaffrey was about to be playing quarterback for me?
Oh, yeah. Pay me, please. Yeah, I agree with that. All right. There's a couple of NFL news, notes, and nuggets. Let's get to the big story in sports. Kyrie Irving is now a Mav. Will it work? We don't know. My man Patrick said this would happen, but then Hart said it wouldn't work when it did happen. So we'll see. We'll talk
Never
about it.
lost.
We'll come back and discuss it right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful, not knowing.
Mike Harge here for Quick Roofing. I was talking to some of my friends this past weekend. Everybody was dealing with the trees being down. Some people had them hit their roofs, so they're definitely going to need to get it checked out. I kept telling everybody, just go to quickroofing.com today. You get a free, no obligation inspection. You get a 7-year workmanship warranty. Quick Roofing is fully insured and have all state and local licenses. Quick Roofing doesn't even require any money up front until 100% completion and 100% satisfaction. Quick Roofing requires that a project manager is on every job site, ensuring that the customer gets everything that they were promised. So what are you waiting for? Reach out today and get that free inspection. Go to quickroofing.com today. That is quickroofing.com.
Where's Bucky Godbolt? Where's E. Hogan? Sounds like some B&E stuff going on here.
It is.
Smooth Soul Monday. I know. What is this, the second hour opening?
This is the second hour.
This is the
Yep.
7. Yeah.
Yep.
I am a faithful B&E listener. I'm
So
sure a
am
lot
I.
of you out there are as well. So I enjoy this song a lot. But Smooth Soul Monday is the purpose of it right now. Man, Patrick doing a great job of soothing your soul, picking up your spirits with a little Smooth Soul Monday. You can be a part of the show. Specs Text Line is the best way to do it. 512-337-3776. Hardball Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. And my man Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis. I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. I believe Patrick's the one that just told me this, and then you might have known about it, Harge, but I think Patrick might have told you as well, that Texas baseball sold out of all their season tickets.
Yep.
Already.
Already. Before the season even started, they're done.
They're not even ranked, are they?
No. One poll has them at 25.
Man,
but
Texas baseball fans excited, ain't they?
they're ready for this team. It's a brand new team. They got their first taste of it this past weekend as the alumni game was played this past Saturday, and it was a tie ball game, 4-4. They ended in a tie.
Okay,
So-
that's ideally when you're playing,
Yeah.
against yourself,
Yeah.
you like to end in a tie. I
Yeah,
guess.
let's end in a tie, make everybody happy.
Nobody won, nobody lost.
That's
I guess
right.
there. All right, so I guess everybody's excited about baseball season, and Harge is going to be. You're going to be calling some baseball games pretty soon.
I am going to be
Actually,
calling
next-
the
is that
games.
next week?
Yeah, the first series.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Arlington for the State Farm Classic. Got a chance to talk to all the coaches today. We set up all
Nice.
the interviews for next week, so I'll be interviewing all the coaches to get my pregame stuff and my prep ready
Hmm.
for the tournament. But yeah, I get to call all the Texas Longhorn baseball games.
Oh, we
too
got an
that
insider
weekend.
on the show, baby.
Exactly, baby.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, we're looking forward to that. That'll be right after the Super Bowl.
It is
You
right
gotta
after
get
the
back to
Super
work,
Bowl.
so.
Yep, right back on the grind.
All right, so that'll be fun. My man Harge gonna be talking a lot of hardball with us, so we can't wait for baseball season. Obviously, you can't wait to see. You can't
That's
wait as
right.
well because
That's
that's
right.
why you bought up all the tickets. So that'll be really cool. All right, let's get to this Kyrie Irving story. Kyrie traded to the Mavs from the Nets. Dallas sent they sent Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie and a 2029 first-round pick. Basically, 2029. That player's in 8th grade now.
Yeah.
It's like they're basically trading an 8th grader. A future 8th grader.
7th grader, because my son is
7th
class of
grade. Okay.
27.
There you go.
So yeah, I told DJ, I said, you might be that pick.
You might exactly. You just traded some middle school kid or whatever it
Oh,
is.
now he's going to Brooklyn?
Yeah, he might be going to Brooklyn.
Well, you might want to hold out then. And 2 second-round picks to the Nets for Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris. There's also some talk. My man Patrick brought up that maybe this is not finalized.
It is now finalized.
It is now finalized.
It is now
Done deal.
finalized.
Oh yeah, and by the way, Kyrie, I just saw a video. He's in Dallas.
Yeah, you know he was like that was
So
reported
videos in
is he was super ready to get this done
Yeah.
and move on.
Well, he's always ready at the beginning
I'm
of
aware.
these
I'm not-
transactions.
Look.
And then something happens 6, 8 months, 9 months, a year in, and then he decides, you know what, I'm unhappy.
No,
I like the
look,
situation.
I'm not being on Team Kyrie's always right. Just saying, I know that he was ready to. He seems to be very excited to be a Maverick today.
Yeah,
He should
right.
be.
Today.
And he-
Today.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know by Friday. Friday he could be mad, but today he seems happy to be a Maverick.
I've dated some women like that. Today, she is happy. Tomorrow, I have no
Not
idea
so
what's going to
much.
happen. Yeah. I feel like, okay, you guys know the parable of the scorpion and the frog?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I feel like, for those who don't know, I guess I should tell it quick. Scorpion and the frog sitting on the shore of a pond or whatever. The scorpion is stranded because he's like, I can't get across. And the frog's like, dude, I'll help you across the pond. Just jump, yeah, you got to do. So basically, the frog says, listen, I can take you across the pond, but you can't sting me, man. And he's like, I'm not going to sting you. If I sting you, we're both going to sink. And we're both going to die. So that, essentially, that mutually assured destruction, that promise of that is why I won't sting you. So the frog says, yeah, you're right. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, yeah.
He said, jump on my back, bro. I will take you across the pond. We all good. They get to the middle of the pond, and then the scorpion stings the damn frog.
Mm-hmm.
And they both start to sink. And the frog's like, bro, why'd you do that? Now we're both going to sink and die. And he's like, bro, I'm a scorpion. It's in my nature.
That's who I am.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
I hope that is not Kyrie Irving and the Dallas Mavs. I'm praying that it's not. I'm praying that he is not going to say, "Hey, man, I'm Kyrie Irving. It's in my nature.
That's who I am.
I am Kyrie River. I'm Kyrie Irving. I'm the river.
Yeah, exactly.
I am not the frog or the scorpion. I'm the river.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But you get my point. But the Mavs are going all in here to a certain extent, and they're banking on, I think most of this was done for Luka and less about the Mavs trying to forge a championship path and build a championship blueprint. It's more about Luka needs to see us take a risk or gamble on him and show him that we're willing to build around him, even though they had the Kristaps Porzingis thing that failed. And I think a lot of this failed miserably.
Yep.
I think this is them once again making an effort saying, Luka, we'll do whatever it takes to build a champion around you. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
If this is going to leave us SOL and he's going to, end up leaving in the offseason, that's fine. Then we'll go find you another superstar. And if that one leaves, we'll go find you another one and another one. That we will never stop building around you, Luka. So please, in 2026, when you have your opt-out option, don't opt out.
Yep.
Yeah, because here's the deal.
They're begging for it
They're
right
begging
now.
for it.
Yeah.
Luke, here's our bet, is that you will still be here in 2029. And if you are, that's a pick in the 20s. Because as long as you're on our roster, that's a pick in the 20s.
It is. You're right.
So if you can stay here, then we don't need that pick anyway. And we'll give up more picks this offseason, or we'll give up more picks right now. Because as long as you're here, those picks are not as valuable to us.
Totally agree.
But we got to keep you here.
Right.
Yep.
And I'll tell you this about Kyrie, too. I know people may not get it. Kyrie Irving is going to sell a bunch of Mavericks jerseys.
Oh, for
people
sure.
love Kyrie Irving. And I know it sounds, when you get into the sports world, people hate Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Like in sports media and everything, they hate him. I'm telling you.
Fans
I went to
hate
that
him, some of them
Spurs-Nets
too.
game, and I saw more
you said
Kyrie
that.
Irving
Yeah, you
jerseys
said that.
and signs for Kyrie.
For kids.
And kids holding up
Yeah.
signs like, please sign my, all of that. And you went, really? Like, I just wouldn't expect that, but he was.
Yep.
And I've been to a lot of games in my life, and there's very few players that have that impact that aren't the guy on the team. Like Kevin Durant, you expect to have more jerseys there than Kyrie. Kyrie had way more jerseys. Now, Kevin Durant wasn't there, so that may have altered it, but Kyrie Irving, huge following. So there is something to be said of you're going to be a very marketable 1-2 punch as well.
Yeah.
Oh, you definitely got the market.
agree with that.
The market value is there for both of those guys. My main thing is I'm trying to figure out how they're going to coexist. Clutch time in the game. Is Kyrie going to be the one that's going to try to take the shot, or is it going to be the other way where he's getting a dish from Luka? Because now it's going to be a big challenge for Luka too. Because now he doesn't have to be that guy. We've seen Kyrie make huge shots to win games, to win championships, actually. So is Luka willing to relinquish that? Because with the team he had before, there was nobody else to pass it to that felt comfortable besides Jalen Brunson. But remember when we were talking about it, and you were giving the stats last year, Rod, about the dominance of when Luka has the ball in Jalen Brunson as well, which is why Jalen Brunson was like, you know what? I've created this for myself. I've given myself to be a star. I'm going to New York and take the money because I don't have to fight for this anymore. Julius Randle is the only player that he really has to battle for the ball, but they work well together so far.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, we don't know how Luka and Kyrie are going to work together, but because Luka has historically high usage rates, he's hovering nearly 39% right now, which is really high, and Patrick brought it up. You do need to start trying to rest Luka some during the season. Load management, I know people hate that term, but you need to make sure that he's got fresher legs for the postseason run that you're going to make inevitably because he's just that talented. And Kyrie Irving helps you with that. And Kyrie Irving also, in terms of ISOs, he's right now statistically the best, one of the best ISO players in the league. Look at points per possession in isolation plays. He's at 1.28. That's leading the league. He's at 55.8% shooting percentage on isolation plays. That's the best in the NBA. And when he drives to the bucket, and we know that Luka, in terms of drives to the bucket, is probably the most effective, efficient players in NBA history, actually. And now you got another one. You got drives per 36 minutes. Kyrie Irving, he's around 10.5. Spencer Dinwiddie was around 11, so he actually had more drives per 36 minutes than Kyrie Irving, but field goal percentage on drives to the basket. Kyrie Irving, 60%.
Right.
And Dinwiddie was at 49%. So I think on the court, I have less worry and concern about this working on the court. I think on the court, he's exactly what they need. They need a playmaker and a ball handler. Now, I think offensively, they may end up being the best offense in the league with Christian Wood, Kyrie Irving, and Luka. Defensively, all three of those guys are liabilities.
Yep.
So you may end up with the worst defense in the league, but the best offense in the league when those three guys are on the floor. I think that's how they're trying to win now. They're basically banking on Jason Kidd's defensive prowess as a coach to give them a defensive edge in games.
Well, I don't know how he's going to pull out defensive prowess on some of these guys that don't even care about defense.
That's fair.
I mean, he's going to be able to line them up, but if they don't go out there and play at the top of their level, I don't know how that's going to work. I think it can work, and I do believe that Jason Kidd will bring the best out of them. Y'all talked about it. Jason Kidd was his favorite player. Was Kyrie Irving's favorite player. So I'm hoping that he will be open to listening. When he was in Brooklyn, he didn't want to listen to Steve Nash because he thought he was better than Steve Nash.
He didn't want to listen in Boston either.
That's true.
No, I will say,
That
but
is
I will
very
say,
true.
when you had him and Harden and Durant on the floor, they were winning games. Like, they played well together.
Exactly.
When he played with LeBron James, he played really well with LeBron James.
Yep.
So off the court, I think clouds a little bit of what he does on the court because he is one of the worst teammates off the court you could ever have. But on the court, he's a great teammate. And so I think it clouds the other one over as you're like, well, you can't walk in the locker room and yell at somebody and then threaten to quit and do all this stuff and then go on the court and pass the ball well. But he does because he's just a weird enigma of a guy.
He really is.
But he has always really played well with others. It's why the Lakers really wanted him. Because there's very few guys you can go, hey, we're going to add another star to AD and LeBron, and he could play really well with them. Them playing together, I agree with Rod. On the court, this seems like it can work.
Yep.
The problem is you've got a long way to go to get to the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And is he going to be able to, like, health-wise stay on the court and mental health-wise stay on the court?
Yeah.
Man, the NBA drama is just awesome. Like right around time for the NFL season to end, you just get these great storylines in the NBA, and half the NBA fans think it's going to be a disaster, and half the NBA fans think, you know what, it could work out. I don't think anybody knows, and I'm going to be here for every second of it.
Yeah, buddy.
It's going to be really, really
and
intriguing.
you're going to watch Mavs fans in the crowd like, do we like him now?
Yeah.
Oh, he's hitting threes. Okay, maybe.
I mean,
I don't know.
I know, and people are bringing up that, Mark Cuban is Jewish, and obviously you had the incident where he supported a movie that was perceived as being anti-Semitic and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to work through. There's a lot of drama, but that's what the NBA is about. They like TNT. They love the drama. All right, we come back. We'll wrap it up, put it in the oven right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Yes, right into the outro because, it's going to be a quickie for us. I do want to thank my man Patrick, thank my man Harge as well. Tonight, Texas basketball, that's on.
That's right.
That's on the docket for all of us. 7:30 pregame right here on 104.9 The Horn. 8 o'clock going to be the first tip. My man Craig Way, the voice of the Longhorns, and Eddie Oren on the call. Remember the revolution when I be telling us to talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Peace.